Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We have an interesting market ahead of us here. Are we going to see the bears be able to clamp down on this and take out the higher low on the 2 hour, or are we just going to see a 30-minute pullback? Will we get a fake out in the morning to start off the day? Those are some things that we were talking about yesterday in yesterday's video. And today we're going to be paying attention to that as well. One thing I just wanted to keep on your mind since you're here at the very beginning of the video is the 2 hour was not able to confirm up overnight last night, so that is an overall good thing. But let's hope that it does not set up some kind of 30-minute divergence here for volatility or even a 30-minute higher low, because that is how we really take back this 5-day moving average and we see some kind of pop in volatility, even though we do not see the inclination of, hey, this heavily needs to be some kind of massive move for volatility. We're still aware of it. And that is why for the SPY, if we do see the 2 hour curl down and the 2 hour curl up for volatility while the 2 hour curls down for the SPY, we're going to want to be paying attention to, hey, I mean, our risk, right? Because if the 2 hour curls down, that's kind of the first step in order to see more downside breaking through the trend and all that good stuff. And it just says, hey, that'd be risky to hold on to. If it ever wants to come back, that's perfectly fine. But it just would say, just in case something like this does happen, if the 2 hour crosses down, it would not be a good idea to be targeting up in these levels. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. SR Shorts coming out, Rajiv coming out, VO, RGTI, looking at that stuff. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Sebastian. How's it going? Check out Google and NVIDIA. Let's go look at Google because Google's going to be a big day today. I mean, it's just flat, right? It's just flat. So for the time being for Google, you're still looking at the same thing as everything else, right? Little traps to the upside that lead to potentially downside to fill that gap. But we'll be watching this later on today. I really want to see what forms at the end of the day. If we can do something like that, that'd be interesting. NVIDIA overall was seeing a dip down, now coming back a little bit, but did confirm down on your MACD, not necessarily on a good confirmation. So we'll see if this is able to continue. But for now, we would say, hey, okay, we need to see if we're going to come and fill those gaps. And your MACD is suggesting, hey, we're starting to see some little cracks here. More so leaning towards the pullback side, but NVIDIA is one of the ones that's in the more risky spot. It's not as positive as the other moves, right? We can see that it's not as positive as the other moves, which can be a little bit of a problem. Should be a fun day for trading. I think it should be. Of course, the weather outside for me is getting worse, so that means maybe I'll be inside and maybe I'll take another day trade, right? I was literally bored yesterday, so I was like, I'm going to take a day trade. And it was successful, about a 40% one. Not bad. Hit target pretty quick, but not the most dramatic move in the world. So for the time being, the most likely thing on pretty much any chart that you're looking at right now is a 30-minute pullback, okay? And the thing that you have to look at is the positioning of the MACD, something that we heavily talk about more so in the swing trading course, but we just talk about positioning of the MACD because it is very important to understand positioning of MACD when swing trading. But this would just suggest that a pull down to a key level, right? We pay attention to our key levels. And then we say, hey, if it holds up better at any point, all we have to do is watch for this 30-minute to curl up, watch out for traps towards that weekly expected move. Any potential to fill the gap below? I think so, YP. I think definitely. I mean, that's actually something that is very, very plausible here. Now, we need to be paying attention to if there's a trap to the upside to start off the day, right? Oh, we continue, then we get maybe some disappointing news. I think Trump overall was disappointing, probably to a lot of people last night as he was talking about trade and things like that. I think overall we could say that people could read into it in a disappointing way. But the key thing there is just if we're going to end up down here, you're going to have to see some new, updated, terrible news. That's just the key there. You're going to have to see something change completely. So we'll be aware of those things. We're in the environment where news drops can happen and crazy things can happen. And we're at lower levels to where, hey, things might be in trouble of breaking, right? The 10-year isn't really far off or anything like that. So we'll be aware of those things. But the main thing with that is just if that's going to happen, right? If we're ever going to go revisit down in here, what has to happen right like today, right? If we needed to react today, well, then we'd see this 2 hour get dramatic, right? We'd see something dramatic here and you're going, oh, well, but why wouldn't we sell here then? Because you don't know if this is going to happen, right? But if this would confirm down at lower levels, it would say the risk of going down here is higher, right? And then you might say, oh, but then it turns right back around. Oh, I should have just stayed in. No, that's the decision making, right? The decision making is very important. This is how this happens, so I'm taking my risk out. If it turns right back up, hey, I can be right back in, right? So the 2 hour is going to be your friend, at least for today. And then as price action develops, it could change. So we'll keep our eye on it. But for the time being, something that we talked about yesterday, as we are seeing just barely a hint of positivity, up 0.1 for the SPY is, do we see something quick like this? And this is more when I would be paying attention to like a 15-minute by the center line. You see something like this, then it drops down. Okay, that's going to head to the downside, right? Or at least show me weakness and momentum. In order to fail a signal like this, which a 15-minute I'm not the biggest fan of, we'll see if it pops up on the 30 as well. In order to fail that, hey, the 15-minute can curl back up, and we're going to need sustainable good news. Right now, the big problem is you don't have sustainable good news. You have flip-flopping back and forth where the media is really, really running with whatever the next thing is, right? And it's just in this environment, it's been a lot more of bad than good. So they're able to read into every little thing and cause sell-offs because people are quick to hit those buttons. Good morning, Loma, aka Bernie. What's up? How's it going? Out in Florida or something? China said trade hasn't even started. Exactly. So that's what we're kind of talking about. If we get that disappointment, right? That disappointment is more so what I think it would be. And watch for if the media runs with it, right? You see, oh yeah, it's good. Oh no, China's saying nothing's happening. This is awful. Never buy stocks again. And then if you just see the momentum turn back up on a 30-minute, right? If we see something dramatic down and it just turns back up, good things happen. You can at least go revisit these levels. I mean, look at this. This was technically a pullback. It was a retracement for sure, a very fast retracement. But boom, we go down, we curl up, and what happens? We revisit those levels. So if we do the same thing here, it's not a bad thing to curl down, even go a little bit negative, but end up curling back up into positive territory. Oh, you're at the ranch in Texas. Dope. Taw, where the heck were you yesterday? We thought you would be over on Rumble with us. Were you there? I don't think you ended up showing up. What the heck, man? I was pulling up fibs and stuff. Come on now. We were pulling up fibs yesterday. I thought you'd be all excited. We were pulling up fibs like this and going, ooh, I like this golden pocket right around that 520. I'd like a tag of 520 just outside of it, but man, what a good golden pocket. Sorry for the storms. Florida is beautiful. I know. We're thinking about trying to do something down in Florida. We actually were going to move to Florida before we got pregnant, and then we wanted to be around family. So maybe I'll look into a little vacation condo or something like that. That'd be really cool. Okay, let's see here. It's going to be a good day us shorting the market today. It's going to be a good day for us shorting the market. Potentially, yeah, potentially. I mean, the way that you say, okay, this is going to continue, but this could be done, really. It's just you see the flat divergence here. So we could get a little swing up. That could turn us up for a moment, but we're aware that the bears are still in this area. So just be aware of it. But the trade that I was doing was once we tagged that 95% line, looked for confirmation down just on a 5-minute, looked for the clean break, took it, went down to a daily expected move, took profit, little 40% there. Just did it for fun because I was bored. I do not day trade often, but when it's very, very obvious and I'm a little bored, I'll do it. Yeah, Bernie, that's the I wanted to go down there. We have a lot of my best friend's family is in right around Destin. What's up or what's down, Lawrence? Well, right now you're in a positive trend, so don't be in the inclination that this is absolutely horrible yet. It can get mean, right? We've seen these terrible pullbacks from these areas, so be aware of those, right? Another one right here, big 2-hour pullback, right? So it can be a problem, but really you're just ping-ponging in a range. I just don't think you want to lose that recent trend line because that would be curling down a 2-hour and bigger momentum can take over. Heck yeah, fibs for the win. You see how they line up with your weekly expectations. It's very, very nice too, isn't it, Tall? It's pretty cool. Watch Trump tank the market today. Well, the thing is, it's more so people running away with things that I think is taking the market, right? Every little thing that happens, you're seeing, he did mention he wanted to fire Jerome Powell, but I don't think he meant it in a context of like, I'm going to fire Jerome Powell right now. And they take that 2 sentences and it's all over the media for 3 days. And we caused the breakout moment to then fail, right? So That's cleared up. Okay, awesome. Let's see if other things clear up. If not, then I would suggest that the media is going to continue doing more of the same, and we're going to see one little bad thing be taken way out of proportion. What I'm looking for is, and what I'm worried about for a downside is more when something is sustainably bad that we haven't seen yet, or something is really going wrong. That would be more a bad thing, and that's why I'm looking at the 2 hour chart. Jump take the market today before the meet thinks they're going to drop you a little, then grind you right back up. Don't short too hard. I don't think it'll be the easiest trade in the world. That's why I just did the day trade, right? I was like, if I was really convinced, like, oh yeah, this, if I was like, yes, this is 100%, yeah, I'd probably be shorting. But I think you could see this first. And I think you could overall just go like, and turn back up. So I'm not thinking that this has to be horrible yet. We have to see. Yeah, I like Florida. It's chill. I like the sand. Beauty. Oh, SR already got it. Maybe I was you were focused on your futures, huh? IBM doing something? That's right. IBM. Did that have the earnings last night? I can't remember. Oh, see, oh, yay. Good numbers, bad result. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? You had 2 hour flat divergence that wasn't confirmed. This is just a 50-50 flip. I mean, obviously, people were looking for the consolidation to be good here and see that breakout moment to get to that 252, 253 area, consolidate for a while, break through again. That's not happening as of right now, turning down. So I'd be watching this daily chart and saying, okay, maybe a daily divergence does form here for IBM, right? Maybe the surprisingly bad thing for the market is actually earnings. What if earnings turns out to be surprisingly bad, right? What if Google actually does talk about forward guidance and they say forward guidance is going to be rough because of tariffs, and then it goes like this, right? Anything can happen with Google. I'm not going to be touching Google, even though we kind of read into that a little bit last night. I'm just like, I'm still not touching it. I still don't trade too often around earnings. GME, as of right now, curled down, right? Still in positive territory, so another swing up is possible. But the 2 hour divergence here suggests that the daily chart is going to curl down. We see 2 hour divergence on the MACD and RSI. So that's just one that was on my radar for the time being. Gold actually able to vomit a little bit, but does it have major reversal signals? Not necessarily. So it's just really, really up there, right? You just have the slight maybe divert. I think we were looking at futures for this, weren't we? Yeah, you have that divergence in the futures here on the daily scale. So if the daily crosses down, you can see a mean pullback, but you're so positive that you would want to treat that like, hey, that can curl up at any time in positive territory. For now, you're seeing a 2 hour bounce. Maybe if we're going to see a 4 hour create a better divergence, right, as it's by the center line, maybe we see some kind of 2 hour move down, which as gold was going down, the market was going up. So if gold actually turns down here and goes down to here, creates a divergence and then pops off, that means the market might, market's doing this right now. Maybe it goes like this and then drops down again. And we kind of just follow the opposite of gold in that kind of negative correlation. That'd be very, very interesting. But just note here that the 4 hour did not have big reversal signals, which I like to see 4 hour if I'm looking at futures in any way. I like to look at 4 hour charts and see a very obvious divergence. We see no divergence here on the RSI. We see no divergence here on the MACD. So, Meta did that one time. Meta did it once, but it actually confirmed a good looking signal, at least on the 2 hour. I thought another 30-minute swing would happen, but it didn't, and it just collapsed. So for gold, I'd be watching this, some kind of double top, or if this 4 hour just pops up for a moment, crosses right back down, right? You see this, and then it goes like that. That would be a little bit more interesting. So for today, I would just be like, okay, if we're going to test that 5, do we reject off of it and create a divergence? I think that would be good. If we pop off right now, well, just note we have a pretty negative correlation to the market when considering gold here. So if gold is able to break down completely, we could see upside. If it's going to bust up right now, we could see some downside if that correlation holds true. Oh, let's get you. Oh yeah, I need to. I'm on a screenshot. Let me get those daily expected moves in the corner for you guys. You guys like when those are there that way because we like to focus on the SPY in these times. So having the Qs down in the bottom right corner is a good thing. Let's put it up. Boom, boom. All right, there you go. Daily expected moves in the bottom right corner. Yeah, and it was that's the name that I always struggle with. That I was struggling with over on Rumble when people were talking about. Oh, he said there's a deal with China. There's a deal with China. There's a deal with China. And even YouTubers coming out saying there's a solidified deal with India. There's not a solidified deal with India. They're starting the negotiation phase. Is all that was happening there. So a lot of people reading into it further than what it really is. Even these just commentator YouTubers who aren't stock market people, they're just commenting on what Trump is overall doing, and they're saying, "Oh, a deal is solidified." The deal has not been solidified with India. It has not. They have said we are the framework for negotiations is the kind of phrasing they were using. The framework for negotiations has been set, so that means the negotiations are about to take place. They're going to start with potentially India, but people are reading into that like, oh, there's a deal with India right now. It's like, no, the deal is being created, and we already said, on average, it could take up to 12 to 24 months for that deal to be even solidified. And then after that, it takes even longer for implementation. So, like I said, if we get any kind of deals within, before 6 months from the start of this, that would be huge. If we get it in the next few weeks, that would be the most lucky moment. And that would be the quickest tariff negotiation phase in history with a lot of these deals. So we do not have a solidified deal just yet. No forward guidance, and letting go of 10% is not a good thing. Oh, I didn't look into the actual like statements from the earnings. But yikes. Huge M on D, double tap on the 1 hour. Okay, you're looking at a 1 hour chart. Oh, okay. Okay. And thank you so much for the $2. I'm checking it out over here. Let's give it a look. This guy, just make sure it's correct. Dominion Energy. Because if you're looking at this and you're going, okay, well, I might look at a 2 hour just because I like to look at 2 hours. I like 2 hour momentum confirmation saying, hey, yeah, I'm a lower high maybe, right? But so far, this is trying to be that higher low. That's great, right? It came down into this area. That's great. Trying to be a higher low. But for the time being, if this is happening, I mean, you can always pay attention to both directions, right? This is a way to break down. Maybe this, in some way, is a way to break up. And so we're looking for a breakthrough here, clean break, or a breakdown past this low. So this low, this high, very, very important. If the 2 hour crosses, what does it look like? Well, it looks like we could attempt to cross that low. So if the 2 hour crossed here, I wouldn't necessarily want to be like, oh, yeah, it's going up here, because that's just the opposite of what's happening. It's really close to negative territory. For the hourly chart, since you did say the hourly chart, you could consider this a double top. Yes, this definitely could be considered a double top. Waiting for confirmation and things like that is a good thing. If this is a pullback, though, and this just confirms up and you see it break through and hold these levels up here, that would be the other contradiction to the downside. Would just be, hey, does a 30-minute cross up? Well, if the 30-minute crosses up, it's kind of hard for the hourly to be crossing down, correct? So that's just how I'd read into it for the day. I hope this is the correct stock. Yeah, not a good thing, huh, Richard? AMC, GME, there's some downside. I think GME pulling back, most probable thing, 2 hour. DJT just going nuts. My goodness, just going nuts. Very interesting there. So yeah, just to keep it in your brain, watch for volatility to make that 30-minute divergence today, right? If we make this 30-minute divergence, we're seeing a little bit of upside, and then we get some upside, and you see a divergence down here on the 30-minute, and that confirms. That means there is going to be risk to the downside. There is going to be risk to the downside. So if we do something little like this and volatility does the opposite, right? We went boom, 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 and volatility goes boom, boom, boom. And we see that, and we see this, and this confirms, and this confirms. Ooh, that's going to be a little bit rough. That's not the type of thing you want to see, and volatility has been very, very nice, and these type of signals have been playing out a lot, right? The double top divergence, awesome. The divergence at the lows here, awesome. Great stuff. So if we see another one, we just got to be aware of that. I am looking at the SPY, brother. Morning, Yamar. Should put that in the comments. Oh, Yomar, you're looking at the SPY. You think hourly double top for the SPY? No, you're fine. But hey, you know what's funny? When you put D, and I go look at a ticker with D, and it actually had a divergence, and it had the M that you were talking about. So that's pretty funny. Um, as far as it goes, for this to be like some sort of bad thing, right? Well, what do you need to happen? Well, you're going to need this hourly to cross down. You're going to need the 2 hour to cross down. But if you're using this point right here as your point of reference for the hourly to make that divergence, you can say there's a divergence here. Like, I have no problem with that. I think it's a little bit elongated, but I have no problem with that. It's just take the high point right here and draw that across, right? Because if we zoom into this RSI and we take that high point, you notice that we kind of went higher than that. So it does say, like, yes, this could break down. It always can, but the 2 hour would have to cross. That's why I'm watching it. For the time being, though, that doesn't have the divergence on the RSI at the same time. I like to see them at the same time, and if it's not at the same time, then I would say, okay, this might just be an hourly or a 30-minute pullback. That's the way I like to read into it. It still can break down further, and that's why we're aware if the 2 hour crosses, hey, there's too much risk now to hold things for up here. Yields dropped off too. Interesting stuff. Well, we're going to open up in 2 minutes and then we'll know. We'll have some answers, right? Because with more price action, we can formulate a better and better plan for what's going to happen next. Who's excited and who's liking the video because they're so excited to trade some stocks today. I'm pretty pumped about it. Having a good time. I'm just looking around to make sure there's nothing too crazy to pay attention to. Apple very flaggy. Tesla opening at that same low. Yeah, nothing really showing a bunch of strength. Hey, NVIDIA getting a little pop there. Why is NVIDIA getting a little pop? We'll see. You look at gold. Yeah, we kind of did just a little bit ago, but we can look at it one more time, okay? So for gold futures is what I'm focusing on, even though I like to trade GLD. You do have a divergence on the RSI. So this just tells you that you can see a big daily pullback. But just understand that could be a mean drop, but it's still very, very positive on the daily scale. But you do have that divergence on the RSI. So there's always the opportunity to break down all the way down to like here. And then you get that little bounce. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. And then you curl back down, right? And you see that left head, right shoulder form. But something to keep in mind right now is if gold makes a 2 hour divergence right here, right? If it curls down in negative territory but holds up better. Now, I'm not saying this curls down and it has to make a divergence. I'm saying if it curls down and then you see that curl back up, you see the MACD curl down, we see it kind of tight, and then we see that curl up, we see divergence here, divergence here. Well, that would tell us that maybe we're actually going to see a 4 hour move to the upside again as that is close to the center line. So if that's close to the center line for the 4 hour and we curl up, it's very likely to test this high, go make a new one. So more so, I would pay attention to more downside if this happened. Well, this would all have to happen in order to pay attention to this, just so you're aware. You'd have to make a 2 hour divergence and then see the 4 hour curl up and make a divergence. But the 4 hour does not have weakness right now in the futures. So that's something to read into. There is no weakness in momentum here. There is no weakness in momentum on the RSI. There is no weakness in momentum on your MACD. You do not have any forms of weakness here unless you see this curl up and make a higher low or a lower high, or go make that divergence point for the 4 hour. So that's what I'll be watching. All right, SPY able to open up 0.21% to start off the day. I'm going to go put volatility up on my other charts real quick. Give me 1 second here. There we go, volatility. We'll keep our eye on this. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0.21%. 0 All right, there we go. We're good to go. Yeah, elevate flash. Sometimes I'll tell you to just zoom back out, like, scroll back in the video. Possible breakdown due to jobless claims coming in neutral happened April 10th. The jobless claims as of right now, let me reload. Existing home sales will come out at 9 a.m. my time, so here in about 28 minutes for whoever. Initial jobless claims supposed to come in at about 218 forecasted. Came out a little bit higher than that at 222K. The previous was revised to 216K. So we do have an increase there, no matter how you look at it. But the consensus there was 222K. We landed right on that. But a lot of the time I'm paying attention to forecasts. So it is in line with some kind of expectation, but it is the very high end of that expectation. So we'll have to find out what happens from there. RGTI looking strong. Let's go check on RGTI real quick. Okay, I don't know what GERT is, but RGTI, I do like this one, but man, this thing needs to pull back at some point. Now, this is good. If it continues to be overbought, and get to a key level, that's even better. Like, that's really, really good. Nothing about this is, say, negative right now, besides the fact that it's overbought on a 30-minute. It's potentially overbought on a 2-hour now. Yeah, it's getting overbought on the 2-hour, which you're reacting perfectly to the good level. What you want here is something very simple to happen. Very simple, and we can see a great breakout. Maybe we fill the gap, but just in case, I want you to pay attention to this. Maybe even go like, okay, let me just draw a little thing here. Boop, okay. If we can react to, say, anywhere around here, this 950, if we can get to 950 and then see that mean pull down, maybe even flash down and fill that gap for a second, left head, right shoulder. Oh, geez. And the reason I'm talking about that is because look how positive your 30-minute MACD is. So in order for this would have to, in positive territory, wipe everything out. And notice, in positive territory, when we're going to head down, and we're going to not just test the high and fall back down, right? Still tested the high. We're going to attempt to curl up and then fail. We're still going to potentially make some kind of bounce to head lower, right? So even if we do something like this and we bounce, in order to go lower, you really are probably going to get a bounce. You're very unlikely to just see this unless we're seeing an absolutely terrible thing. So the thing to be aware of is, hey, what's closer to the center line that would shake me out? Probably if a 2-hour cross down. If I see a 2-hour bar confirm beneath, like here, yeah, that would shake me out for a moment, and then I'd still be watching that 30-minute if it whips right back up. So not too bad for RGTI, to be totally honest. This is exactly the things that you need to do. It just always looks a little risky at first, but you do have daily divergence on your MACD. You have daily divergence on your RSI, so that's why I've been watching RGTI a little bit closely. It's very, very nice. You just rejected. You break through this. Hey, good thing. So a 30-minute pullback right here can go a long, long way. Shake people out right before the breakout moment. That would be pretty cool. Don't bless the blood. Yo, that one snuck up on me, so I'm not going to lie. Thank you for the blessings. But my goodness, that one snuck up on me a little bit. I was not prepared for that sneeze at all. AMC on the 30-minute, I'm not thinking that looks like... Let's see, actually. As far as the 30-minute goes, you're like, hey, we just curled down. We're really close. We're in negative territory right as we curl down. That's not a good sign, right? So what you're hoping for, something like AMC to go up is, well, you're kind of creating structure that actually suggests AMC could head lower, like pretty dramatically. And GME, we went over that just a bit ago, and that has 2-hour divergence suggesting the daily can cross down. But I want you to look at this. I mean, you're at this type of level. We'll just use this and say, hey, I mean, if there's something forming here, I mean, it makes sense. So if this is crossing down, we break through these kind of levels, just break through this low. It's not necessarily a good thing. I think you could easily revisit these levels down towards 250. What that looks like is, hey, the 2 hour is going to reject here. We can watch for 30-minute divergences and things like that, but I don't even know if they have the good shape to really form. Let's see. Yeah, they would. They would. Maybe an hourly chart would look a little bit cleaner here. It would be a little tighter, but if the hourly crosses down, that means, hey, bad things. But if a buy comes in here and you see a divergence, that would be a good thing, right? Looking for divergence before the weekend on AMC, not the worst idea in the world. I get it. So is it like awful, awful, awful? It's turned down in negative territory. So you have to read into that as pretty risky if you're trying to get upside. But if it just curls up at any point on the 30-minute, hey, you have a chance. $181. At least, we'll get updated monthly expected moves, by the way. So, but so far, look at that. AMC getting a little pump there. Not bad. A little 1% bar, just as I looked at it on my other screen first. Pretty nice. I mean, not the worst. Gotta reload here. There we go. Wolfie Boy? Is Wolfie Boy doing a thing? It's still doing the thing. Nice. Okay, Wolfie Boy trying to do something cool. No real good signals here, but hey, Wolfie Boy trying to do something. That'd be nice. GME, see, this is what you need though. Like this is what I always say, and it's very, very confusing for people who haven't traded a lot. But in this area, if you want a squeeze, you have to completely wipe out all of these signals. You have to wipe out this 2-hour signal. You truly do. You got to get the 2-hour to turn up, and you got to just wipe this out. If you don't wipe this out, then it's probably going to play out, right? And that could be a daily turn down going into, like, say, next week. So this is the more probable thing for GME. Short squeeze is not the most probable thing ever, but you need to fail one of these signals to see good things, to see great things. That's what usually will, at least if you're going to see a divergence that could ruin it, you need to violate that divergence to head up, right? It's that simple. High or low, can't stop my flow. Oh, Willow likes that song. Oh, yo. Okay, that was really white at the end. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm just waiting for that midlife crisis to kick in for me. Give it about another 7 years, Weak buying. Yeah, retail moments. That's why I was kind of worried during retail if we just run up, get some bad news, completely give it up by the end of the day. Then we see a gap filled. We see that, left, mainly using this chunk in here from that 2-hour. Go do something like that. Would be very, very interesting. Get rid of those drawings. Dropping bars. Hey, man, I'm white. White Goodman. We're better than you. And we know it. Oh, God. Oh, sorry. Like to break a mental sweat too. Great stuff. I actually think a 15 minutes okay to watch today. I'm going to watch this 15-minute for a little bit. I mean, hey, 15-minute curls up. What if it just never curls back down? That would be so sick. The more probable thing is we're gonna see this thing go bloop. That seems very, very likely. That's why we were pointing it out last night. WHIT. E. Oh, great movie. I miss those kinds of movies. I feel like we got too much. We got too stupid with the humor. Back then it was like stupid but made sense. Like I could see one of those guys in what, California or something, owning a gym like that. Okay, and I do want to see how HGX opens up. That'll be a big deal. I do want to pay attention to that, so I'll be looking at that on my other screen as well. We were paying attention to volatility on the 30 minutes, seeing if it makes a 30-minute divergence. If it does, I'll potentially be Looking at either taking profit on plays, taking hedge, doing one of those two things, most likely in those areas, right? I've already taken half profit. If we revisit those highs again, okay, I could potentially take more or hedge in that area. But as I do, Tropic Thunder, hell yeah. But as I do want to kind of reposition for another 2 weeks out with calls later on, that would be nice to possibly get rid of a little bit more of the position. Can you look at Palantir? Yes, we can. Let's go look over at Palantir. Palantir is doing something crazy for the month, and weirdly enough, to the upside. You're seeing crazy things again from Palantir. The reason that you could see continued crazy things for Palantir is because of where it is. This thing is outside of some key levels, right? Patreon members, if you guys want to join Patreon, it's a great week to do it. You'll get Friday expected moves. We might be putting out a video today in the afternoon, depending on what happens with the price action. So we do give update videos there, and you'll get new updated monthly expected moves for all the stocks that we cover for May, which could be a big deal, especially if we squeeze. It'll give you a perfect little take profit, right? Usually during a squeeze, you go directly to that monthly expected move, and sometimes you blow past it, right? So I like to take a lot of profit there, and then just see, if a couple of contracts can make a bunch of money. For the time being for Palantir, though, there's just a lot of risk to jumping into this right now. I mean, the daily scale looks like it wants to get going. You built pretty good structure in here. You have daily divergence on the MACD, not necessarily on the RSI at the same time, but proving to be very, very good, right? So as this is seeing something crazy, you can pay attention to the one thing that could ruin it. This would be the one thing that could ruin it, right? The 2-hour just curls down right now. Like you just fade this move and it curls down. Because if you keep heading up from here, you're going to violate the divergence, which means more pullbacks are justified, but not a big drop. Big drops can always happen. Big drops can always happen, but we're always looking for the hints. This doesn't necessarily show too many hints at this moment for the shorter time frames. The only hint we have is, hey, if the 2-hour crosses down like today, that's a risky thing. This could be a fake out, but it's looking very strong. Can't complain about it. Potentially, if people look for breakouts and things like that, and they're more investing, they probably don't care. They just want to see a good thing, and they see a good thing. Okay, awesome. As far as an option goes, it's kind of hard to be like, oh yeah, I want to take an option when this is overbought outside of some key moves over on Patreon. That's a rough spot to be like, oh yeah, I want to take an option play right now. And it's squeezing. So if it's short squeezing or something in some way, then it's kind of hard to be like, oh yeah, I want to short a short squeeze. That's kind of a wrong thing there too. What I think the price target is, let's see. Let's go back to it for a second here. Let's look at 2-hour scale for target. Well, the good part is this. Okay, so you were stuck here, right? You're stuck in this level. Raise that up just a little bit. Where do you get to? About 100, we'll just say 100, and you were able to really gap and push through and use that as support right in here. So 99 to 100, very important to keep, right? This level right there. Very important to keep for that 99 to about 101. Very, very important to keep that. So if you can keep that, well, then this could be a pretty good pop off, right? This is where it's like if you're doing big things like this, you might even be looking at weekly scales and being like, hey, if that thing turns up, we can potentially beat that high, maybe go get the next one. Maybe if you're a longer term trader, you can use a 3-day and be like, hey, if that 3-day turns up, which it really looks like it is, this could continue. Hey, the daily is going positive with divergence. So yes, with this type of look, it can do whatever throughout here, right? As long as it doesn't give it all up and it holds these levels in here very well, it can dip back down into here for brief moments. But as long as it holds this level very well, yeah, you can come test this high and go make a new one here, just so you're aware. The obvious place where you could potentially see another pull down, it's going to be this box right here. It's going to be, I'm going to take to that right there. There you go. This is kind of where you start to get those blinkers, those warning flags on. So you're almost there. This is where 2-hour, 30-minute pullbacks can definitely happen again. Yeah. So this zone goes from about, here, I'll click on it so you can see. I just created it on the fly, but about 106 to 112. And you're about a 1.5 away from that. So that's where I see it. If you're able to just bust through that, you're going to squeeze. You bust through it, use it as support. Hey, that's great. I'm mowing. gonna rain like right now. All right, Ryan. Yeah, perfect. Okay, you were able to follow with me on that. Awesome. Thank you for asking. Yeah, just pointing out key levels. Hopefully, we can learn a little bit from that of like why we're paying attention to those levels. That's why I like to go in detail of like, hey, you look at this. There's a gap there. There's 2 touches here. You know, um, in the course, we mainly talk about 3 touches, right? When creating trends and things like that, 3 touches is the best thing. Oh man, uh-oh, what's it doing? Is Rocket Lab rocketing? Dude, boom to the upside. Very, very nice. Solid pullback right where you kind of want it to happen. See if good things can continue. Crazy things can happen here, right? You get good news. These overbought readings might get way overbought for longer periods of time. The big thing here for me is we haven't looked at this, but if you look at this shape, you always want to check for what? Daily divergence, right? Daily divergence. Anytime you see a big move that leads into a very small move, look for daily divergence. We had rejection divergence right here. Very nice confirmation. Pullbacks happened. Then we see that upside, which in this area, you might have even gotten that 30-minute to give you that hint, kind of flat hint. So 2-hour did pull back from it. 2-hour gave you the hint here. 2-hour pullback, 2-hour curls up. Hey, awesome. Higher low. Now let's break through. Very, very nice daily rejection divergence down there on the MACD and RSI. So very nice. See if it continues, right? Hopefully you have weekly and monthly expected moves for that bad boy. Above it now owns almost 5% of the entire US bond market now. Ew, not a good thing. It's like the same, well, the same things with stocks in general, right? 10% of the population owns 90% of stocks or something like that. And guess what? It's like 3 people own 75% of Bitcoin. It's literally like 3 people. And then after that, it's what? If you take into consideration how bonds, okay, 5% of the market's owned by him. Damn. What happens when he croaks? Like, no offense to him, but getting up there. I gotta keep my eye on. Actually, I'm gonna do this right. I think the play here is play here for hedging will be potentially UBXY. Maybe it's just SPY itself if we set up towards that weekly expected move. Any thoughts on what is that, CrowdStrike or something? Yeah, CrowdStrike. These things, they are seeing great moves. Like we're all pointing out things that are seeing great moves. The bigger deal is just, did I see the move when it actually created something good, like say the double bottom down here? Not necessarily the best divergence in the world, by the way, but I would still consider it. You know, we saw the flash move down. I would still consider that in some way, either higher low or divergence, whatever you want to call this right now. I would still consider it a good thing. And we're crawling to the upside. So we just have to see if that continues or if we're going to reload at some point. That 30-minute could reload at any time. Seeing little divergence pop up for the RSI. But it looks really, really good. And I'm sorry if you hear some noise in the background. They're mowing right outside my window. We do have that 30-minute. That's very positive. So if the 30-minute curls down here, and unless it's really aggressive and we start to see the 2-hour turn down, that's the signal to pay attention to for weakness, right? If the 2-hour turns down. And that's going to take a lot of weakness, right? We're going to have to see boom, boom, maybe 3 little 3 bars down, right? And that would be like we pass through these gaps. So we'll see. But overall, this is a good thing, all right? You created this at the key level or a little above it. Okay, we get this nice pull down. We curl up. You need to break through is what it means for CrowdStrike. That's my opinion on it. Kind of difficult to make a decision now for that, right? You wanted to be more paying attention when the daily confirmation did happen. It's It's got a curl. Why'd that make me think of like curdle, like milk or something? Ew. I'll look at TLT for a moment. Yeah, it's volatility finally going down to those lows. Now, volatility is reacting down to the lows from, I believe, yesterday, correct? Yes, yesterday. Well, the SPY is not at those highs yet. So I'm going to be watching this very closely. If this 30-minute curls up at any time, that is a reversal signal on your MACD and RSI. That's how that 2-hour gets turning up. Until then, we bull, baby. All right, not Navin. Sounds like at least you got a plan, right? What about Amazon? Amazon's a lot of things are in the same state of look at the 15-minute. It's exactly the same as the SPY. So Amazon's going to be the same. Watch for anytime if we curl up this 15-minute, watch for if it curls down. That could be a lower high. That could be, but it is suggesting testing the high, going to make a new one. If we're going to remain bullish, then that would be the likely thing to do, right? Curl up here, see this tested, break through the high, watch out for divergences still, right? Same exact things as the SPY. That's the nice part about the market right now. It's very, very similar across the board to the SPY, to what we're paying attention to here, right? 15-minute, that curls up. Okay, awesome. So if you see a 15-minute and it looks like this in any way, you're just going, okay, this looks just like the SPY. I know the plan. So it could potentially be a moment that it breaks through, and it really does. And this is all it needs to do in order to send this thing higher, right? But has it curled up yet? No. Has it fully broken down yet? No. Has the 2-hour crossed down yet to say that this big move is just done and we're going to end up way down here? No, it hasn't. So if this crosses down, yeah, that's going to have to break through here. That would be bad, and that could probably send you lower. That until that happens, and reacting might be around these areas. Something that I'll be looking for is if we set up any kind of reversal signal here, I will potentially be out of Amazon completely. And if I miss out on some kind of squeeze, I miss out on some kind of squeeze, right? But I like to pay attention to things that I can react to. And so if Amazon like sees an upward move and gives it up here on just a 15 or 30-minute, I'll probably be out of Amazon, waiting for lower prices, waiting to just apply that cash down in here. And proactive in my options, reacting in my shares. Well, 10% proactive would be your little risk to reward guy, right? The guy that says, hey, this is a key level. We're outside of the, it's kind of like over here. It's like, hey, we're outside of that 95% zone. We're creating a 30-minute divergence. Maybe I'll do like 10% of a position here. And then when that like 10%, down towards these lows. So I'll just take that with 10%. And then the 90% of the amount of money I want to put in, I'll wait for confirmation. You get confirmation here and you go, okay, now it's all applied. Boom, to the upside, right? There's plenty of ways to do it. But mitigating risk in the first risk to reward purchase, very, very nice, right? If you have key levels and stuff and you have this dotted yellow line that we gave out, then you're very happy with it to be like, yeah, this has a good play, but 10% is not going to ruin your account, right? Especially if you're already using lower amounts for options. So then you get confirmation, you apply it again, get a little price right in between there. Very nice. Boom to the upside, right to a take profit at the weekly expected move. So fantastic. That's a good example of it, I would say. 30-minute divergence pops up. We will be talking further. That's why we're talking about the 2-hour being able to cross down. Okay, so 10% for the options, and we discussed that in the course too. So we're pretty in line with that type of thinking, not Navin. I usually try to not risk a ton of money at all time, like ever. Hood's looking good. I'm gonna watch the 15-minute for the SPY for just a brief moment, but I'll look on my other charts. All right. If it's really interesting, I like to pull it over. Yeah, Hood doing similar things to those other ones, right? Daily divergence again for Hood, looking fantastic. Can we see a pullback? Yes. You can see a 2-hour that drops right now, and that would not necessarily be a good thing, but the divergence there not looking too good, really. So that could just be a pullback, really, to fill a couple of gaps and then get going again. You're looking to break through 49. You really got to break through 49 and hold it. So if you reload here, that's probably perfectly fine. We'll see. But maybe you need to react to like 48.90 first. Here, I'll pull it over so you can see 48.90 first, right? Come into these areas towards 49, 48.90. You see a little pullback from there, and then you break through. That would be very, very good Poor hood, but I want to show you the daily divergence. I mean, look at that thing. This thing is insane. So that is a very good daily divergence. That likes to curl up what? Weekly charts. And weekly's in positive territory, which if that curls up with the daily divergence beneath you, you could say, oh, test the high, go make a new one. So what I would say is for May, try to make a monthly expected move, at least using the Robinhood method, right? We gave you a method of how to make weekly and monthly expected moves on Robinhood because we used my fun account to show it off. And if you look at your Robinhood and you just know how to do that, you can learn that in the course and create a range. And if you're up here and you create that range and it's right here, and then you see that surge up to there very early on, you go, oh, easy take profit. And that is an actual take profit level using the actual options data. That's why I like them so much for take profits, just so you're aware. But that daily divergence is suggesting that hood is very likely to tag a monthly upward expected move next month, just so you're aware. That's what those signals do a lot of those times. So be aware of it. It can always fail, so you're always prepared for if it goes wrong. Yeah, but we're going to be patient. I'm going to be nice and patient with it, see if this can go to higher levels first, and then we'll see what happens. But volatility is breaking through those lows almost of yesterday, while the SPY is not revisiting those highs just yet. So people getting kind of a little more towards the bear side according to volatility to start off. How did the PCC open up? Pretty neutral. NVIDIA is at yesterday's high. So let's go check out NVIDIA. Maybe it'll give us a hint. Yeah, I still think this would want to curl up. I'm going to go see if I have the correct levels here for NVIDIA up. Okay. If it went all the way to a weekly expected move, Patreon members, if NVIDIA goes to a weekly expected move, it's very likely to just be pullbacks from there. So what I'm more looking at is probably the top of our zone, probably this 105, 106, 106. 106, very, very nice to pay attention to. See if we dink our head off of that, because that's the next real resistance we see across the way. Used to be a level of support, resistance, maybe resistance again as we gapped below. And then followed through that 106. So a lot of gaps in that area as well. See gap, gap, gap. Use it as support over here. Use it as support right here. So this can be resistance soon. If you break through it, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing if you break through. Nope, didn't mean to draw. Wanted to make it so you guys could see that weekly expected move. We'll just zoom into this just a little bit here. It's got room. It's got room. If it goes to 109, 110, that's good, right? If you take back 106 and you hold it, that's a good thing. But you're not through 106 yet, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? I'm going to look at this from a 5-minute perspective too over here, because we do see some little 5-minute things going on for this. NVIDIA looks good, but it's not safe from seeing a weakness in momentum on the shorter term, right? A short-term pullback, if you're saying, hey, that's going to go up to 150 in the next 4 months, you're not really worried about, hey, if that pulls back from 106 to 100 for a moment, you're not the most like, hey, that's terrible. We did check RGTI. You might just have to click through a little bit. We can always go, we just looked at it maybe like 15 minutes ago. But we can check it out again here in a bit. I believe RGTI was the one that was the 2-hour divergence. If a 2-hour curls down, that's how that fails. But it has daily divergence beneath it. So very, very good. Watching for pullbacks and things like that. But Ahmad, if you go click through just a little bit and then join us back here live, we can go over it again here in the next, give it 20 minutes or so. Let some price action happen so we can see if anything's changed. Oh, 120 would be nice. Saving my account with 0 DTE SPY options. Whew! Be quick with it, all right? Manage that risk, even if it's a small amount of money. If you've lost a decent amount, well, then it's good. It's still okay. You can be practicing with small amounts. That's fine. I like to build a good cushion and then use really, really small amounts to practice. I think risking money is part of the game. So when I would practice with $100, Hey, nothing left to loop. Back against the wall, Tyler. We got this, right? We're going to react. We're going to do good decisions. Even if we're doing 0 DTE, let's try to make the best decisions possible. That's some good stuff. All right, let's see. What are people chatting about here? Nothing really. Okay, paying attention to volatility still. Just crazy that volatility broke down to those levels. I think a further breakdown seems likely, but my goodness, it's 15-minute might fail to curl up here. Volatility is just right at that double bottom type level. Once again, they're weed whacking now. They're weed whacking right outside. Sorry about that. Neo is waking up. Let me go check on Neo. Over on my other screen. Neo really waking up. My goodness. Holy crap. You're running right into resistance right now. That gap in there, anywhere in that to gap fill, I'd be paying attention. It'd be great to react past that and hold that level. But pretty much now, if you hold above $4, you're pretty happy with Neo. 30-minute, I think you're very likely to see some kind of 2-hour pullback soon. That would be the more likely thing. If that bad boy's squeezing, hey, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Go for it, Neo. We're down. But that's going to seem very overbought right now. So taking a play right now can be a little bit difficult. Can't hear it all. No, Ta. Get the earwax out. Okay, very nice. So what I'm watching over here is the fact that volatility was able to break down to these lower levels, right? Volatility was able to break down to lower levels while the SPY wasn't revisiting the highs. Just reading into that slight little divergence between the two right now. Oh, you can't hear the... Okay, good. Well, I do have my mic settings to where it shouldn't pick up those sounds, but I just don't want anyone to hear a chain. Like, it sounds like a chainsaw in the background, you know? I want someone to be like, man, Bruce is really attacking Lucas today. I think Russia just attacked Kiev, but not 100% sure. I know 5 has the percent symbol on it, so I got you. Can someone confirm? I believe I would see that probably all over, social media, and I don't see anything right now. What's this? That's not anything. Let me click into Yahoo Finance or look for some potential news. Even though it's kind of, I like to see what Yahoo Finance is talking about. Home sales slowed in a lethargic. Oh yeah, that's right. We got housing data. 402 million existing home sales went down. Spring buying season. Nothing yet. We'll keep our eye on things, right? Short Fridays. So watching volatility right now, but also the more likely thing is still to do this, and we'll see what happens. Right? If we're curled up on the RSI and with the price action, we can start to go, oh, all it has to do is show us that on the MACD, and this thing looks like it can get to 545.80 or 547.87. You can violate those lines. That's what gives you the percentage, right? When you violate these and go wham, and then you curl back down, this is where it becomes 68% chance to land back in that red line. So ooh, well, we'll still see how money moves until then. But that do you see what I'm saying? That is the Willow. If you remember, we kept saying this. If the 2 hours is going to curl down and we're going to revisit those lows, something terrible, something awful, something horrible would have to happen to do that. And that would be something different and horrible, man. That would be pretty different and horrible, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah. It's only Kiev. Oh shit, Alex. It's fucked. Oh damn, AMC did it too. Really? Interesting. Very interesting. GME, can you turn up on a 30-minute? That'd be great. That would be fan-freaking-tastic. Oh my goodness. If we fail this here, that's gonna be bad for the SPY, actually. If we actually see things escalate and we revisit those lows, man, you're just like, you're hoping some signals form down there. And I would not be long if this 2-hour curls down. I'm talking about myself, talking about my plan. If the 2-hour turns down for the SPY, I will not be in any longs until I see things curl back up. Keeping my eye on volatility here. Dubs, Willow has calls. I might be following that calls Willow indicator in these areas, Willow. I might. I might be following those that Willow indicator up in those areas. And people, if you don't know what the Willow indicator is, okay? If you don't know what the Willow indicator is, do not follow anything that we're saying. This is a joke that we talk about on Rumble. China had some risks, like the Hang Seng, HSI. China had some risk, and I still think that risk is there. But we did wipe out the 2-hour divergence. That's good. I just don't like how, kind of channely this is. And the daily MACD is still negative with no divergence beneath it. So the 30-minute here fails, and you're losing the 5. So this could be a big moment where the 30-minute gets that lower high. Now, it's good right now. It's turned up in positive territory. That's good. But if you look at this buying and tell me that this looks really, really good, I would just say, I don't know about that, right? All this has to do is curl down on the 30-minute. You want to see a divergence if you want this to continue, right? Divergence here, continue, right at the 5. That'd be great. But if this just wipes it out and you see something ugly here, that's going to be a big problem, right? That can really start some downward what is it? Downward trend, right? Negative trend. Where's the dancing emoji to pump the SPY? Oh, the SPY's pumping right now. SPY's pumping. Maybe we get to that daily expected move. That would be nice. Yeah, right up here, I'm going to be potentially making decisions. If we curl back down up here, I might start to take that hedge and then turn it into a short position at some point if we see confirmation. If we moon, then we're not going to make divergences up here on like the 30-minute chart, right? We're not going to see some kind of slight quick divergence right here. We're just not. Because a lot of the time, if that divergence confirms, then you'll have to whip it back up. So I just want to say, hey, there's risk there to do this. If it whips back up, I can be right back in, right? Just trying to mitigate my risk in a very volatile market, which is very trade like water, right? When you get into this bear market like volatility, where volatility is extended for a long period of time, reacting, trading like water is in my book a really, really good thing. Ooh. Indicators on GME. Oh yeah, GME, the 2-hour divergence looks awful for GME. Like that one is this one is like 30-minute needs to curl up. 2-hour divergence has confirmed, so this could be a big problem for GME. But we're gonna watch the SPY. I'll keep my eye on things. Mention it if you see something interesting. A lot of things trying to moon, right? A lot of things trying to break out. A lot of things with daily divergence, trying to do crazy things. That's great. But if we're getting an attack from Russia and we see crazy things happening in the world and you see a 2-hour curl down, I'd just, make sure to write down your plan for if something goes wrong. If it goes right and goes right and goes right, you just never have to, cross off that. You just cross off that plan for the time being and update it, right? But for now, it's like, ooh, this can be a problem. What's the good news? Stocks are pumping. I think this is just continuation from what we've seen overall. I don't think there's necessarily like great news out there. If it was great news, you'd be seeing big volume and big upside potentially. Right? Good actual physical solid good news is going to be some big pumps. Right? Actual solid physical good news is going to be this. This type of thing is going to happen. But if you're not getting that, which you want to say it's less probable to get that, correct? It is less probable to get that. It's more probable to be disappointed. Okay, then. If I do see that solid news, okay, I want to be paying attention. If I don't, and I see an upward move for no reason, and that gets overbought, but also makes a divergence here and gets outside of my weekly expected move, all right, then I know what to do at that point, right? As far as risk goes. We shall see. If it curls up here, it's a positive thing, regardless of the volume, regardless of the narrative. It's a positive thing. Oh, you're all good, Robert. The only news that someone was pointing out was apparently Russia's attack on Kiev, which Willow just was nice enough to give us his little spiel. And thank you guys, other guys who brought it up as well. Trump writes, Vladimir, stop after Russia launches deadliest strikes on Kiev since last summer. Yeah, I'd say that's probably not that good of a thing. Probably not too great. Put rising. Are we seeing the CP or the PCC rise? Yeah. See what happens. Haven't confirmed fully up. You've confirmed on your RSI, on the price action, just not the MACD just yet. So right now, your probabilities are saying we're going to go to here or here. And then from there, the probabilities start to change to we're going to drop down to here. So this is where I'm talking about hedging. And then if that confirms down, I'll be technically out of my longs and then saying, okay, maybe I want to add a position just in case this is a good short. Then we come down to these type of areas and I can take profit, right? I'm just telling you how I formulate a plan. Do not follow my trades. I'm just telling you about my plan for the trade. And I'm more doing that to help you understand how we react around these weekly expected moves. NVIDIA not breaking 105, NVIDIA not breaking 106, very, very bad, I think, because that's the resistance level. Hope we fail now. Volatility might agree with you on that. 30-minute divergence already formed for volatility while the SPY has not revisited the high. So there's potential. I don't see much for that to turn around just yet. So I'm not going to get overzealous. If I see volatility confirm the signal without the SPY going to that higher level, then I will once again be out. There is too much risk in the market if a 30-minute divergence forms and that 2-hour has a divergence on the MACD for volatility. Right? The way that volatility comes back in is the 2-hour crosses up here, right? And gets this divergence on the MACD only, right? There's nothing on the RSI. So what likes to curl up 2 hours? Well, if a 30-minute curls up. So I'm going to react to the first thing and treat it very seriously if it happens. 2 seconds, Turkish. Be right back. And we're back. What happened? A lot of things while I was gone. Could you get to the SPXS for me, please, Chief? Well, if you're looking at these type of things, you know, SPXS, These are going to be very, one, this is the opposite of the SPY, opposite of the SPX, and two, it's leveraged, so you won't see signals as good. So what I would do if I was trading this is I would just look at the SPX or the SPY and just say, what am I looking for here for confirmations? You can pay attention to SPX and say, oh, if volatility confirms that signal, maybe I take the SPX, right? Because that's a short one. And maybe that way you're not doing some big position and risking it with time with options, but a little bit of risk with the 3x, 3 times leverage. So what you'd be looking for is like the opposite signal for the SPY, right? So this going like this and then going like this would be, okay, that's potentially where I'm bottoming for the SPXS. But taking a people do that. People take calls and puts on TQQQ, SPXS, SPXL. I'm not someone who does that. I do not like to. I think if you're going to do options, 100 times more, 100 times more technically, like risk wise, technically, with an option, especially with time considered, than just buying or selling regular shares. That's how I view it. So if it's going to be 3 times leverage and I do an option on it, well, then I'm potentially taking on 300 times more risk. I like to think of it that way to keep myself from doing something crazy, Oh, they're having a girls' day. And it's like terrible weather out, so goodness gracious. Alrighty. We're gonna see what happens. That's the good part about being able to trade like water is you're excited if it forms a divergence. You're excited if it squeezes through and violates that divergence, aren't you, Dubs? You're like, squeeze, do it, squeeze. And then if it doesn't squeeze and it reacts down, you go, well, there is technically a setup there for volatility play, you know? Where's Martial Law? Where has Martial Law been? Hopefully he's doing okay. We hope he's doing all right. That's our volatility plays guy. He likes the volatility plays. Yeah, Alex, but a tip there is just, do your analysis on the SPY. And whenever you see confirmation on the SPY for whatever you want to do with SPXS, that's when I make my move there. I used to trade those back and forth just with regular shares, though. I never did options with them. I don't like those options because the stock already has decay in it. Yeah, it already has decay in it, and then you can deal with delta, theta, all those kinds of things as well. So it can really deteriorate fast if you're wrong, like really, really fast. So come on, SPY, do something interesting here. So BS, we're in the green. Not really. I mean, you're in a positive trend on a lot of things. 5-minute even gave it a divergence here for your RSI, not on the MACD. It's actually there on the MACD as well. So you actually have 5-minute divergence as well. So it does make sense. Now, sometimes it makes more sense in hindsight, right? Some things do make more sense in hindsight, but the 5-minute divergence is what I was paying attention to. Did I take calls into that? No, I'm just holding on to my positions and saying, hey, yeah, but if this sets up a trap, then I'm going to be aware of it. It is very slow, though, Kalani, and we don't like to see that. Netflix, all-time high. Woo! Go Netflix. Broke above 1,000, held above 1,000, and wow. What a freaking move. Now the media. Everyone invest in Netflix. No. Divergence, though. You had the opportunity. Divergence at the low. This was technically the good confirmation bar, but you did see confirmation all the way back on this bar right here from your RSI and the price action. And then you were able to hold that the whole time, so that's nice. But this would be the safer confirmation. Notice safer means I miss out a little bit. Okay, awesome. But boom to the upside. We actually ran into that 1,000, faded beneath it, gapped above it. So very, very nice for Netflix, but it was around earnings. There's a lot of reasons for not taking this. But now there's a lot of reasons for not taking it, which is you're starting to get overbought on the bigger time frame, the daily scale. Rough there. Yeah, rough to try to make a trade on something that's overbought on almost every single time frame. Very rough. All right, here we go. Keep it going, SPY. Just finally getting the first curl up here. Let's go see if we can find a key level for that upside right now. Let's go see. Let's go see if we can get a little hint past. You know, we're looking for another hint besides this yellow and red line here. Looks like 545 is where we could run into problems, and 550. Yeah, 550. So above our moves, we would look for that 550. We shall see, my friends. We shall see. Oh, that's funny. Okay, sorry. Watch something funny for a second. 543.50 was my target. Yeah, the key levels I'm seeing is 545. I'm really paying attention to 545. Why? Daily expected move right there. Pretty much right above you is that daily expected move. You go right back into these levels. But also 550 if we want to see some kind of bigger move that still sets a trap. Sets a trap, right? But we're going to need to see some good upside here to see that. Everyone got bearish after these up days. Wall Street playing games. I mean, they actually went, you know, as far as the data we have here from the PCC, we see that the upside led to, you know, people were shorting at these moments, and then the upside led to, yeah, some calls, and then you've gone back into neutral. So overall, people are neutral, and then some people probably still holding calls at this time. Some people still, you know, potentially holding puts as well. It is more, there are more puts out there than calls, right? We can see that from just looking at Friday expirations, but to say they piled on in this area, they might have, right? They might have. But overall, I'm just watching the percentages and watching how this thing moves. And if this is going to squeeze to the upside, it's very unlikely for us to like confirm down a 2-hour chart, right? So at the end of the day, if a 2-hour chart confirms, and by at the end of the day, I don't mean like a day, I mean in conclusion, if the 2-hour confirms down at some point, I'd be watching. Got tons of 539 SPY puts. Come on down. Wish you luck, Yin Yang. Yeah, in RTV, I think you're right to point that out. It's squeeze behavior on not solid news. The thing we kept talking about in the videos was solid news. News that breaks you through the bear level and you don't lose that level because it's solid news. Red card. What are you red carding me for? What did I do? I've never been straight red carded before. I broke a kid's ankle on purpose once when I was a kid. I was a mean player back in the day. Oh God, I miss it. Miss it so much. I want to start my own club. No, I've gotten 2 yellows. That's not it, Justin. Just get ball first. If you mean to hurt someone and they're pissing you off, just get ball first. That's it. All you have to do in soccer to hurt someone is get the ball first. You can get away with it, pretty much everything if you just get the ball first. I learned that when I was like 7. Makes it a lot of fun. And then I ended up playing college with that player who I broke his ankle in my freshman year, sophomore year of high school. I broke his ankle, and he ended up being on the same college team as me years later. Very cool. Super nice, super quiet guy, but hey, people in the city were talking him up, so I had to push him down. Our 5 side keeper is like Mean Machine. He got a red card for punching someone and chased the ref around the pitch. Bro, you're sounding like my Scottish teammate. This dude Callum. This dude Callum got a red card because he went out of the goal, went to the sideline where the other college team, like the college stands were, and just started cussing them out. It was insane. I was like, you are an idiot. Like, that's what you get a red card for. Okay, good little move here now for the 15-minute. Good confirmation across the board in about 2.5 minutes here. Looks like we are going to potentially head to that 545 area, that 545.80, that 547.87. And I'll even make another line here. I don't like to have a bunch of lines, but I think we can make one and just say, remember, 550, okay? 550 is going to be it. But look at all the lines in this area. So now you have a very key level where you can pay attention to for if we lose that, if we see that turn down from there. No. I did not. We actually played the same position once he got to there. He never grew. He grew to like 5'5", and he never grew after that. So I was way bigger than him then. So he stopped playing defense. So we didn't go against each other too often. I have no experience with this, and I shorted SPY at 489 and have just been waiting, trying to decide whether to wait more or to close it and try. Well, Verb, until you really understand things, hopefully you're not using large amounts of money, right? That's one, right? If you're new to it, do not, even if you saved up $20,000 to start, bro, rein it in. You're new to it. You can't go to a basketball court, watch one basketball video online and then play against LeBron. You're in a very complex market right now where this market like this, high volatility, is made to make a ton of people like lose money. Tons of people lose money in these times. So you're coming into a market that's pretty much like, hey, LeBron's on the court. You watched one or two, videos about how to play basketball and you think you're going to be able to beat LeBron one-on-one. It's just, that's how I like to say it. But I'm not saying you don't have a good chance. I think you could have the mindset for it. I'm just trying to tell you about the mistakes I made early on, especially if you're considering options. And that would be bring down those position size dramatically. Respect your money. Respect your money. Respect your money. That's a big, big deal for me. Because if you respect your money when it's at lower amounts, when you're just starting, you're going to respect it at higher. Now, if you're young, you can take on more risk. We can talk about those things. But for the most part, it's just bring down that position size, try to make the best decisions possible. If you're trying to jump right into day trading and things like that, hey, you have a 95% chance to lose that money every single time you take a trade. Because that's the type of decisions people make in that style of trading, right? So what I like to do is, especially if you have time, right, you're younger, you can still assume some risk and do options, but you can also just pull it back. You can do a 2-hour chart. You can take a month-long position, right? You can pull it out to a daily chart. You can take a 4-month position, right? So that's how I would like to say it. Now, if you're ever in the mindset of hoping something comes back, right? Hoping, when you're in that hopium, when you're in a good trade and everything's going well, you should hope that it goes better and hope it doesn't turn down, right? If I'm in this and I said I'm long here and it's going well and my plan for the trade has not done anything yet, so I don't have to react to anything, I'm hoping that it continues to go well. I'm hoping that it doesn't curl down. But even if it gets down to here, I'm hoping it doesn't cross through. Oh, it crosses through. Okay, I'm out, right? And now I don't have to hope for anything except for this. I hope something else sets up soon so I can take another play, but I still need to be patient, right? Once you get into the hopium side of things, long term, if you're someone who, always has hopium about it, and hopium means this curls down, you don't sell that position, it curls down further, and your position is way up here, and it curls down further, you get a little bounce, you go, see, it's coming back, it rejects, and it curls down again, and you continue to not react, and you continue to hold that position, and it continues to lose money, and then down here, you're like seriously hoping, right? You're literally in the most hopium down here that this thing will just turn around for whatever reason, maybe a random reason. If you're banking on a random reason for it to turn around, it means you just need to learn more, you need to react more, you need to trade like water more, in my opinion, right? We need to understand there is a way to stay in the game long term if you learn to manage your risk. And that starts with the amount of money that you are risking in every trade. We talked about this a few days ago, the things you can control. One of those things is when you buy or sell, but the other thing is how much money you want to risk behind a trade. It's hope versus hopium, right? Hope is a good thing, I would say, with this context behind it. Hopium is when something is going completely wrong and you're hopiuming it comes back. That's how I would describe it, right? Since we've been talking about those things a little bit more. I think I should just wait and keep one eye on the news. And if I break even or everything goes up past some point, I said, get out of it. And that kind of language means as long as you're comfortable with the position. And I want you to treat it this way, Verb, since you sound kind of new. Never, and this is something that people say all the time, I want you to actually follow this, guys. You have to actually follow these type of things. This is very, kind of basic, but still very good because a lot of people still make this mistake. Never risk an amount of money that is going to ruin a weekend. Not even your life, just ruin your weekend. So if losing $1,000 this week would ruin your weekend, then why risk $1,000? If losing 500, you'd be like, that'd be kind of a bummer, but that'd be okay. All right, then 500's your number, right? And I say these things and I talk about them very passionately because that's the reason for this channel, is to overall be helpful. Everything I do for this channel, everything from the Patreon, everything from all these live videos, everything from the YouTube videos at night, everything from the course, everything is to be helpful. And so I like to describe a lot of the things that you're talking about, you're even asking about. I've made those mistakes. And you're probably going to make those mistakes at some point. But it's if you learn when you've made a mistake and you react, that's the people who survive in markets, because you're not going to be 100%. You're going to have to take losses. I just took a loss like a week and a half ago, right? I just took a loss a week and a half ago. And guess what? A setup came, and if I was all bummed out and really, really bearish because I just lost money, then I wouldn't have seen the setup. Right? So I try to use these live videos when someone, especially someone new, comes out and says something like that and says, hey, I'm new, I'm trying to do this. I like to talk about some mistakes I've made. And a mistake that I made before I came up with my management of the trade strategy, right, that we talk about in that course, is just the mistake I made was sometimes hopium. And I noticed that sometimes when good plays happen, sometimes those moments where I have hopium and I'm hoping it comes back ruins the good trades, right? The point is to make more, right? Profit more than you're losing, right? You're going to have losers. It's just, when do you cut those losers? So what I would encourage right now is just have a plan for right now, based on what you have in the trade, based on what the market is doing right now, based on how much money you have at risk. Make that plan for if something goes wrong and make that a hard staple. Hey, if I see this 30-minute, right? If I see a 30-minute chart curl up, and we see it wipe out divergence, I don't necessarily want to be long anymore. Those type of things are okay. Even if it ends up coming down later, it's still something that you can practice as good decision making, right? Because this could squeeze if that violates divergence here. That's why we're watching a 15-minute seriously. Now, I think the 15-minute will make a divergence here, and I think we'll curl down. That's what I think. But it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what actually happens in front of me. I think can give me a visual in my mind for what could happen. But if that ends up not happening, there's nothing for me to react to. It's good to keep those things in mind. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful. Plan to not have a plan for the plan when you're planning to have a plan. Awesome, Verb. And stick around. We do this every single day. You're more than welcome to continue to ask questions. More than welcome to continue to ask questions, okay? Thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing your bit there. It's not an easy thing to do, to come out and be like, I'm losing money on YouTube. It's not easy. And it's kind of humbling. So it's great. It's great to see that from someone. So thanks for being here. 525 would be sweet. Whoo, that'd be sweet, right, Kalani? But maybe we have to make a 15-minute divergence. Maybe we need to convince people that something crazy is going to happen, and then it reacts down. And what happens is people will take calls here, and then it'll cross down. They won't react, and then they start to get in that hopium phase. Hopium. But guess what? you know, unless this turns back up, you're starting to have divergence. That's saying bigger things can curl down. So we'll see. Hopefully we just burst through and we see a squeeze, right? Hopefully we just burst through, see a squeeze, right? That'd be awesome. We'd all be clapping. Everyone would be cheering. We go up to 566. Everyone's happy. We go up to a weekly expected move next week. We take profit. We all make money. Like, you know, that's a good thing. But just in case that doesn't happen, what could ruin that right now? A little 15 or 30-minute divergence right here, a 2-hour curling down, those things. Very, very cool. We have a great chat today. Thank you guys for being fantastic in the chat. Thank you guys for liking the video. Thank you guys for being subscribed to my channel. Fantastic. Just so you guys are aware, we've only been around for what? A little over a year and a half? We're just getting started here, no. We just get way too hype all of a sudden. Overall, still a downtrend from year to date. Very good thing to point out. Very, very, very good thing to point out. Very good thing to point out. Because if you zoom out to the daily scale, you're going, wow, if this daily curls down, do I want to be in longs? No, probably not, right? Where are we running into? Ooh, a lot of business in here. A lot of business going on in here. That could be rough. Not a perfect trend line in the world, but just gives you an idea of the area you're at right now and how great it would be to break above that, but how bad it would be to use that as resistance as well. Oh, Templar's here. God, every time I read Templar, I think of Stark. God dang it. I'm such a dweeb. Such a nerd. No, I get energy when someone comes in and I feel like I can help them. Like, you know, Verb came in, they give that description. They're really saying, hey, I want to get started in this. So I'm excited to help others. That has always been a personality trait of mine, you know? So I really enjoy it. And I think that over time, the emails that I've gotten, especially relating to the course, people who have watched 100 videos on YouTube and said, wow, this has really helped me out. Like, those are what really fuel my energy. And I've gotten a few of those in the last few days. Over last weekend, we saw some people do some learning and ask me some questions, but also just say, man, this is really opening my eyes to like the bad decisions I was making. And that's what I love to hear, because that means high potential as you humble yourself to make better ones. I don't think I'm the best, but as long as I remain helpful, I think that I'm doing something meaningful, and that's the important thing for me. Okay, just put 20K to short the stock market at this point, crossing my fingers. Ooh, that little bit of hopium on that, because we're curled up on a 15-minute right now. It is the key level. Like, I wouldn't hate on anyone who tries to make the decision of shorting here. It's more the problem is people that short here and here, right? Those are the problems. If you're just making decisions here, hey, that's okay. Have a plan for if it goes wrong, right? I like to wait for things to form, us hit key levels before even doing some kind of risk reward first position. But that's me. You can do things your way, but I wouldn't. If I would sit here and tell you, oh, you're at the super bear level where we turn down from a lot, and I say shorting here's a bad idea. It's like if you consider a short squeeze could happen, you could call that a bad idea, right? But if you consider the fact that we could just come up to here and then fall, in hindsight, that's going to be a great idea. So it's all a matter of perspective. Stock market went up on zero good news. It's just continuing because we haven't gotten anything to shake the market up too much, which is kind of surprising, right, Willow? Kind of surprising when Willow gave us that little thing from Donald Trump, and other people brought it up too. Don't want to give all the credit, but yeah, just pointing out the fact that if Russia is doing those crazy things, that is something we want to be aware of. Just took shorts on IWM. Let's go look at IWM, right? Because we have levels for IWM. IWM could continue this move. It could fail this move, right? Let's look at this. 5-minute didn't have as good of a divergence there. Pretty good upside, able to take back key level. We'll see what happens with this. I think a 15-minute divergence is still possible. For the time being, I was hoping we would see a little more upside from those because we're seeing a lot of those small caps with daily divergence. So we're paying attention to similar things with the IWM. That's the nice part about this market. Finally, a super volatile market started to show a lot of similarity across the board. You love when that happens. It works every time, 80% of the time. Go on, True Social. Let me say tariffs are off at like noon or something like that. Longer term, tariffs would be a great thing for everyone's life. Okay. When done correctly, they can be a great thing longer term. That's why I keep talking like, hey, I'm okay with them because it's good for my daughter, right? Because if we continue down this path, the only thing we know is things will continue to get more and more and more expensive over time. Tariffs might make it more expensive initially and then stop and even put more money in your pocket with wages actually increasing. So if manufacturing picks up here, there's a lot to it. But longer term, it's a very good thing. So I'm excited for that for my daughter. And if I have to go through some pain so that my daughter can have potentially a better life, a probability of a better life than maybe even what I've experienced, that would be fantastic. I'll take that bet every time. Fib out the first 5 minute candle and wait for it to break the break one way or the other from the 50 fib. That's the overall direction for the first part of the day usually. I'm gonna screenshot that and see if it works over the next few days. We'll see. I'll screenshot it, Ta. Perfect for scalping today. Yeah, perfect levels to pay attention. You're running almost into that. Hey, you're 243.50, Ta. We're getting there. Well, so if I have if I leave my back door open and they're mowing right now and there's just debris everywhere in my house, is all that's going to help me out there a broom? Is only a broom going to help me out, or am I going to need to use my hands? Am I going to need bags? Am I going to need a broom? Am I going to need a vacuum? Am I going to need maybe water on in there? Is there water damage? Are all these things shaping up? Because if so, then I would need to be more drastic with it, right? So if something goes to a point where it needs more attention, it needs a more dramatic resolution, then that makes sense. Something that's been going on for 60 years. Yeah, something that's been going on for 60 years to the point where we're in almost $40 trillion of debt. You're going to need more than the broom, is what I'm saying. Now, I'm not a expert on tariffs. I am not an expert on negotiations to tariffs. But I can understand why he would be reacting in this fashion. Now, is it going to work? Who freaking knows? No one knows, and that's why you pay attention to momentum. There's only like 5% of people that probably know. And so let's pay attention to momentum because we're going to see that proven in the charts. How fast or slow? Today, I'm going to be quick with it, really. Today, I'm going to be quick with making decisions. If we go up, if the 15-minute curls down right now, I'll be making a decision. Higher, lower high. Is it illegal alien debris? But right now it's curled up, so I have no decision to be made. Chris, hold on. As soon as you said no news, Yahoo Finance notification said Trump tariffs wreaking havoc on strategists, S&P 500 targets. Uh-oh. India revokes key treaty, tells Pakistani nationals to leave. Wow. I like it, Tom. That's fine because someone might be doing a similar strategy to you. I know we're different, right? We're different, but that's okay. I still take into consideration things that everyone says, right? I always take into consideration some things you guys are talking about because I think it's fun to continue to try to learn, even if it's not something that directly affects my strategy directly. Maybe it can give me hints in some way if I can learn it. I think that's fantastic. So even if you don't trade like me, learning how I look at markets can still help you, maybe on a bigger scale, but maybe it helps you understand the environment you're in. Hey, we're beneath the monthly expected move. What should I expect down here? How should I move down here? Hey, we're in the middle of the move. Okay, what should I expect here? Yeah, it's fun, isn't it, Templar? I think it's great. And we are leveraging something. We're leveraging the consumer. We are a massive consumer base. America is the biggest consumer base on the planet. You know who China's number one customer is? It's America. So if they can't sell to America anymore, is that good for Chinese companies? Is that good for Chinese economy? No. Why do you think they're money pumping into oblivion and buying huge amounts of gold? They're more scared than you think. But no world leader, no leader of a country is going to show that they're scared up front. Like, if they're at least semi-intelligent. But I'm not, say, disagreeing with you, right? That could be a perfectly fine take, right? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just pointing out other things that I notice. And I notice that China sells a lot of shit to the United States. And these guys are both very egocentric people. So I'm not assuming this is going to be, oh gosh, you smacked me on the hand. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Like, I'm not thinking that's going to be the case here. So everyone wants a resolution overnight. I'm thinking this takes a while. What you're looking for is de-escalation in the situation for negotiations to take place. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy stuff happening in 2025. Remember the year of confusion for 2025, right? It'll be very confusing if we end up going to new all-time highs in 2025, wouldn't it? Two nuclear armed nations about to go to war. Kind of facts. Volatility starting to see a little green here. Has the divergence point. I am keeping a very, very close eye on this. Remember, if this isn't going to go make that, this is what we need to watch. If this is not going to go make that divergence, right? Because if we side by side this, I want you to side by side this for a moment with you guys and show volatility on the 30-minute while looking at the SPY on the 15. What do we notice? Well, there is a divergence between the SPY and volatility. If volatility turns up, it would be saying, uh-oh, this is making a lower low while the SPY is making a lower high, right? That is still a recipe for bad things. This is still a reversal signal. This has not confirmed, but we are aware of it. This is how you trade like water. You look at something forming, you be aware if it confirms that you need to potentially react. That is trading like water. Trading like water is not, I see a bad signal, therefore I take big plays, I get out of everything and I guess. No, we wait, let the charts do the work for you, and we just push the buttons. And we focus on what we can control. Position size, buying, selling, how much time behind a trade. There you go. Verb's worried about it. There, Verb's worried about it, Willow. You see that? Russian strike tariff, and now new conflicts with India might be a quick flush to really pan. And the thing is, I have a hard time believing any of this stuff. I know that that's crazy to say, but I really do, because mainly because of 2024 and the amount of just BS we saw from big news. They need ratings. So they are going to go nuts with any 2 sentences they can. They need ratings. They are losing ad money fast. They're losing viewers fast. That's why they're losing ad money fast. So I'm very hesitant to just take something without a grain of salt right now. So even though we see 10 things reported as bad things, paying attention to the charts, the thing that you actually care about, the thing that affects your life. I understand that global things can happen and it could affect your life. It could. But right now, if you're trying to trade and make money, what directly affects your life? Well, it's whatever happens in the charts, whatever happens next, whatever happens this. If I need to manage risk, if I need to manage that, right? If Putin goes up to Zelensky and punches him in the balls, does it affect you right now at your home for today? No, it doesn't. Can it affect you later on if something big starts? Yes. But what's going to affect you right now if the market turns down here, if the market squeezes here? Those are the things that I like to pay attention to while being aware of the things that could be bad down the line. Yes, that would tank the chart. It probably would, Tyler. And what would we see? We would see this 15-minute roll down if he took a swift kick to the NAD. And we would see this drop to lower levels because we would get confirmation. You know what we would see if that happened and it was a bad thing? Maybe people read into it as a good thing. I don't know. People are crazy. But if we would see volatility confirm this to the upside, right? We can treat this very, very simply, right? That's why you hear me all the time. Like, normally I'm not paying attention to a lot of news. In the last bear market, I barely paid attention to the news. I just looked for anything that could move rates up or down, FOMC minutes and things like that, jobs reports, inflation, CPI, right? I paid attention to those little things, but more so still just looking at momentum after that data is given out. Now is much more like hanging on people's actual news that is just words being spoken out of people's mouths. But what I'm saying is I want to see an action that is solid. Hey, we are going to zero out the tariffs with China. We're going to go 0 for 0 between the US and China in order to start the negotiation phase where over the next 90 days, we're going to come up with something very, very beneficial for the US and China. Imagine if that was actually solidified. That would be great news. But until we see something in the realm of that, then everything in between is just going to rip around this market. I just spoke earlier and said it will take months to make a deal. Exactly. The average, I think, is like 18 months. 12 months if you're a little lucky, 6 months if you're really lucky. If you get it in the next 3 weeks, like Donald Trump was suggesting he was going to make some deals in the next 3 weeks, if you get a deal in the next 3 weeks, that will be like history being made. That will be that would be a 1% moment. And it could take 3 weeks to play out and you still could experience that. That would be crazy. That's when you see this again. All right, if you actually get these things to go through. Now, implementation takes a long time too. So you get a deal. A lot of people saying we already have a deal. You don't. Just sorry. I know that righty or lefty media, I don't care. Right media trying to say we have a deal. We do not. We do not. We have the framework for negotiations with a select few amount of countries. That's what we have. That is not a solidified deal. That is, we are negotiating and we're still leaving tariffs at the same 90-day pause. So nothing new there. And they keep saying it's China, but China says it's not with China. So once again, it's just what people are saying. The daily chart gaps are getting pretty insane. I'd have to agree with you on that. I think we'll fill. I would like us to fill one. That would be very, very good to fill one. Filling two gets a little risky. It's kind of it's a volatile mess, but things are squeezing together a little bit, right? We can understand that big moves were happening. Now it's getting a little smaller, right? Even though this is a massive move, by the way. Well, if we take into consideration from that level, the last thing we did, isn't that smaller? It's smaller. So now what if we get smaller again and then we break out? Well, what if we get smaller into smaller and break down, right? These are the things that we're watching very seriously. That's why we're paying attention to this level. Because a lot of probabilities say going down to here makes a lot more sense than bursting through right now. We need to see solidified good news to see that. Hey, maybe it's earnings. Who knows? But for the time being, I'm going, this looks a little bit trappy to me. So I have my guy up here. Should we put this guy up here again? This guy's up here. He's looking over here and he's going, wow, who's up here? Who the heck is hanging out up here? Oh, this little bear guy. He's like, I'm looking at you. Right? He's like, I'm paying attention to you, buddy. Right? This is where we're very, very skeptical. Why are we skeptical? Well, look at that. Look at that MACD. Look at that RSI. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about this guy lately and how being this guy almost at all times is very good. My guy, we call him Big Cheese. Because he's kind of cheese looking. Big cheese. He's always aware of those bear levels. He's always aware of those bull levels, and he's always trading like water. Some water. Back when my wife had a big New Jersey accent. Very, very good chats today, though, guys. Thank you so much for being here, liking, subscribing, doing all the things. Yamar even giving $2 today. Fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good stuff in the chat. I like the vibes today. We're aware of how this could squeeze. We're aware of how it could break down. Very, very good. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, Nut. Sorry if I'm calling you Nut, and that's not how you say your name, Mr. Win. Hey, thank you guys too. You guys make it very meaningful as a trader here, right? YouTube has brought a lot of meaning into my trading, so I appreciate you guys. Fighting that name, you've been fighting it your whole life. Well, I'm sorry about that. You could open some very interesting businesses with that name. Very interesting business ideas coming to mind for that name. No, I called you Dick. It's different. We called Richard Schnooky back in the day because he wants shmush mush. But very good, kind of an interesting day so far. Let's go back and check on Amazon and RGTI. I want to look at RGTI. Starting to see some confirmation for Amazon, maybe heading to that upside level. We'll see what happens. For the time being, we can see that. Let's go over to RGTI because we said we would check on that one for a brief moment. We see RGTI giving the 15-minute divergence confirmation. 30-minute is way up there. This is starting to look a little risky for a pullback. Pullback's what you want, though. Very, very good. We were able to get to, remember we were saying you got to get above this level right here, 950. Hey, you got above it, actually. You did really well here to get into this area, right? This is very, very good. Now we can look for this. Guess what? If this isn't going to happen, this left head and right shoulder is not going to happen, you know what happens? Maybe the 30-minute curls a little bit deeper, curls up, and then fails, right? Watch for failures. But also, a 2-hour might curl down here. If the 30-minute can whip up at any time and still be positive, as that's very positive, hey, you always got a shot that this is a massive head and shoulders here. And RGTI does have daily divergence at the lows. So not a terrible look. Just could go through some mean pullbacks in these areas. Qs real quick. Qs are already there, so this is where we have to be like, hey, this thing could tap out at any time. Qs are there where they made the reversal signal now, right? They've made it. They need to confirm it, but this is where bad things can start to happen. So even if the SPY decides to turn down right now, it would be there for the Qs. So let's pay attention. Now, a lot of the time you like to exceed those levels and see the SPY make it itself. So just be aware of that. You could still go make it for the SPY, get up to those higher levels towards that 545. But as of right now, be paying attention if the 15-minute curls down at any point. We're going to stay on for an extra little 30 minutes. I'm just going to go use the restroom real quick and be right back. All right, we're going to stay on for 30 more minutes here, guys. A little bit extra today, okay? Thank you guys for being here. Maybe leave a like while we're gone. Maybe make that plan for if something goes wrong here. But I'm going to go use the restroom. Be right back. Alrighty, maybe we could find us a little 5-minute hint. Nope. Did the Qs? Not really. Unlucky. Sometimes the 5-minute gives you a little hint. That would be nice. Okay. How RSI works, you bullish bearish divergence have a little trouble understanding that. We talk much further about it in the course. It's 80% off right now if you want to dedicate yourself to any kind of learning. But for the RSI, as far as it goes, it's pretty much like this. It's kind of like this for the MACD, except you're going to see the RSI probably get through this center line more often. So it's a little bit quicker than the MACD. But the main thing with the RSI that you're paying attention to are kind of 3 areas, right? Above this, overbought, crossing through this, good or bad in some way, right? Trend direction, if you will, right? Positivity comes when you cross through. Look how we're positive right now. And the last bit will be oversold. And what we look for are divergences. So to show this, we're going to use this level down here, which I need to zoom out and actually look at the charts to see it. We're going to look right here. So see how these are 2 even lows here, right? Almost like a double bottom. Well, we notice that on the MACD, it's very significant. What is it on the RSI? Well, if I take this point right here, so Wednesday, April 9th, maybe I can draw that up, right? I can zoom into this. And I can go, so from this point to this point, we have some flatness. And from this point right here, pretty much all the way to here, it's there, right? That's all we're really looking for. You're looking for the shift in trend in volatile times, right? Now, when you're looking for that trend to maybe see a big move to the upside, right? People are getting overly bearish and you have more information that you understand. This 95% dotted yellow line, very, very helpful. That's why we put it out on Patreon for all those stocks. That's why we gave it here for free on YouTube. If you want to understand these, I have a great video for it, okay? I have a very, very good video for it. And it goes back a couple of Saturdays. And that's where we bring up the probabilities. And we just plainly talk about the probabilities on the SPX. Very good video. Try to go find it. I mean, we can try to find it on the channel. Let's see if I can find it from that Saturday. What is it? Things will load. I believe it was was it this one? Was it the stock market has a 100% chance to crash? The one that I baited everyone with? Right? Was it that? I think it was that one. Very, very nice. It's in the thumbnail there. You can go into the videos and just look back for about 2 Saturdays ago. We just describe these areas and what we look for around there. But for the RSI, all you're looking for is the same thing on the MACD at the same time. That's what I like to do. We talk about 3 to 5 reasons. So there's a lot behind it, and that's why we have the course to really explain it thoroughly. But for the most part, you're looking for weakness and momentum using divergence. And divergence is just like, hey, I see an even low or a lower low in some way, but the MACD is telling me something different and the RSI is telling me something different. And you notice how that worked out in this scenario. It's not going to work out like this every time. Don't get fooled. A lot of the time you can see this go up, fail that move. So we talk about management of risk, management of the trade. Because we actually saw kind of some of those moments in the past, right? This led to a good move, this 30-minute divergence here on the MACD, on the RSI, both significant, led to like a 6% move up, but then it failed later on. So you got to be paying attention to that. But for the RSI itself, it's just overall showing you direction using momentum, right? Relative strength index. Okay, so it's showing you the strength behind the move you're getting. So what you would say is this means I'm going into, say, positive territory for my RSI. It's a little quicker than the MACD, but that would say this is a good thing for the price action. Notice we are seeing a good thing with the price action. So hopefully we're tackling that question in some way. Def going to look into your core has been trading for 3 years, but still learning on pause. Always good to continue learning. Always good to keep learning. I still learn even to now, right? I'm looking at fibs more often because of my boy Taw out there. I like it. What are the odds Michael say? Oh, no idea. Daily pizza. I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I would make a lot of money if I knew that question. If I knew the answer to that question. Just logged in. Could you cover the Qs? If you have maybe a quick recap. Yeah, quick recap if you want that. is you don't want a 2 hour to curl down. I'm going to go look at it. I'm just plugging in my phone because that bad boy's dead. Forgot to charge that all day yesterday. You're looking for the same thing as the SPY, but you've already created it for the Qs. You're already at the daily expected move for the Qs. So the way that this goes wrong is that right there curls back down. That's when there's a lot of risk of seeing another drop. And so what you want to happen in this scenario, by the way, is, and look at that, it's showing on the 30-minute. That adds to what? Pay attention if the 2 hour chart does cross down. So the probabilities are saying, because a squeeze is never the highest probability thing, it is much more probable for us to go down and at least fill this gap. And then we'll pay attention if the 30-minute curls up. But as we have created 30-minute divergence here at the high, which we can show you right here, we are creating it. It has not confirmed, correct? That means that the 2 hour is at risk of crossing down here. So if the 2 hour crosses down, I don't want to be in longs anymore because the momentum is facing down. This is still pretty damn close to that center line. And just like that, right, what we talked about with Yomar with the RSI will be crossing through that center line. That means down, right? That means negative, positive, right? So what we're really watching for here is just if the 2 hour crosses down, and we're starting to get hints of that right now. And if all that confirms, that would tell me don't be long. That's what it tells me with my strategy, how I look at markets. The 30-minute divergence there is saying, hey, be cautious being long here. But we know that this environment has created a 2 hour higher low. So we are looking for that squeeze type moment. So there's a lot of decisions to be made here. Do I want to take 100% of my profit and risk opportunity cost? Well, risking opportunity cost is very, very safe. Why? Because none of my money is at risk. I'm only risking making more money if we would squeeze, missing out on a squeeze. Oh, bummer. The stock market's still going to do what the stock market's going to do, and therefore it's going to set something else up for me later. So opportunity cost is a great thing because it takes all of your risk really out of the market, and all you're risking is something that could have happened. But it's still good decision making is what we talk about on this channel. So in this area, hedging is a decision making opportunity here, right? We said the same things here and the same things here, right? Hedging is a good thing to do in this area, or taking profit and leaving some runners. Hedging in this area is a good thing, taking profit, taking full profit, or taking profit and leaving some runners. Well, we're in that area again, and guess what? We still have our weekly expected move there. We're seeing a 30-minute divergence. If that would confirm, it would say, uh-oh, I don't necessarily want to be long because the signals are totally contradicting that. But maybe I say, just in case this is a fake out and we end up squeezing with some good news, hey, maybe I'll take profit and leave some runners, right? Maybe I'll hedge. Or maybe I really think this could turn down to here, so therefore I'm going to take 100% profit with the signals that I see in front of me. The point here is just to understand the decision-making at this moment. The decision-making at this moment that would be more difficult would be going long at a weekly expected move when the 30-minute is showing you 30-minute divergence on the Qs. That is the hard, maybe even considered bad decision to make over time. It can work out for you. The stock market can do what the stock market wants to do. If you happen to take a long here and the market happens to squeeze, you would be betting on a 32% or 5% moment. And so if you do that consistently, you will be consistently wrong more than you are right. Right? If we're betting on the 32% at the highs, if we're betting on the 5% at the highs, you have a way higher likelihood of losing your account over time. That's why we talk about decision making. And even if this would go right, it might just make you do those more often. So even if you're thinking this is going to squeeze and you take a play here, understand that you are betting on a lower probability thing. But maybe to you, it's a higher probability thing right now because we made the 2 hour higher low. It's perfectly fine. I'm not going to hate on any decision you really make here. I'm just telling you how hard it is to start a position at this moment for upside when you'd be betting on a lower percentage thing. You're banking on good, solid news coming out. You're banking on Google giving out a great earnings, right? The more likely thing here, the more probable thing is we're going to create that divergence point and we're going to cross down. Why? Because this purple line and this red line are both 68% zones, which means if we get outside of that, There's a 68% chance for the week to end Friday below that purple line. And there's a 68% chance by the end of the day to end below that red line as well. And we use the options market data to calculate that. Was that a good breakdown of the Qs for you? That is literally me telling you, like, straight up, good decision versus bad decisions over time, right? When we discuss good and bad decisions, in hindsight, it can look like a good decision to go long here because we squeeze or something like that, right? But doing that over time, explaining how you are betting on a low percentage thing and you happen to be right once, that would mean 32% of the time you'll be right. Is that an edge? Would a card counter be able to make money with that? No, you would lose money every time. Okay, Bill, I just wanted to make sure to give you a good analysis there because the Qs, and I think people needed to hear all this because the Qs are hitting those key levels. Now, does this mean that a squeeze cannot happen? No, you still have a higher low for the 2 hour, right? You're seeing a reversal signal. I will tell you what, if the reversal signal confirms, then it starts to become way more probable that it's not going to happen. That is why we are staring at a 15-minute chart as we get to the key level and saying, oh, this is starting to get a little risky to the long side. Very, very nice. And Lurk and Luke just lurks around and loves hearing in on the conversation to try to learn a little bit and understand these percentages a little bit better, which I think is just fantastic. Perception and strategies for decision points and why. Exactly. That's what we're doing in this channel. Understanding why I'm thinking of making decisions in this area and backing it up with the why. Like, oh, this is a decision-making area. What's the first word? What's the first word to come out of someone's mouth if they don't understand how this is a decision-making area? Why? So we're going to explain the why to you. And that's great. I'm out of meta. GG's. GG's. Let's see meta. Meta as well, going to that key level. Could be a big moment. Could be a massive moment, right? Could be massive. But what are we seeing for meta? Well, if you're part of Patreon, then you understand what you're seeing for meta right here. And that's probably why you are making certain decisions. It's perfectly fine to make any decision here. I'm not hating on you. You do what you want to do, right? But I see potential for 15-minute divergence on meta at a very key level that we get on Patreon. And I'm just going to keep telling you it's a key level because that's my way of saying, watch out here. If you break through, you could see something crazy. If you don't, and you confirm a reversal signal on this 15-minute, that's going to be a problem. Why? Because it's kind of sitting there on the 30-minute, even a little bit better. You have the divergence on the 30-minute. This can cause a 2 hour to pull back. A 2 hour could pull back. If that 2 hour crosses down, is this great? Do I want to stay in longs if I'm in negative territory and I curl down? Hell no. I always get out at that point. I'm always out. And guess what? If it whips back up, hey, I'm right back in. But the point is good decision making. I don't know that this is going to turn back around. I'm not going to get stuck in some hopium down here. I'm going to say this turns down. This is how it gets ugly. But if it curls back up, I'm ready to react. If it's a fake out, I'm ready to react. I'm always looking at both sides. Maybe people should do that with politics or something. Maybe we should look at both sides. But I understand here that the Qs could go a little bit past that weekly expected move because the SPY has not gotten to its daily, the SPY has not gotten to its weekly, the SPY hasn't tested 250. These are 3 key levels to be watching today. Now it means the SPY could curl down at any time. The main thing you're just watching is, when do I see this curl down? Don't care where, when is it curling down? That's when I need to potentially make decisions. If it's curled up and we're going to squeeze, it could just keep going like this. But I'm going to talk about what to react to. Because this isn't a reaction thing. This is just cool, dope, awesome. But if it curls down, not so dope, not so awesome. So I need to react. Very good. Very good questions today. I'm loving today. I'm loving today's chat. You guys are doing awesome. Please check Palantir again. Palantir still has the same things. It's in a troublesome spot. PCC sitting kind of in the neutral area still. Let's go click on Palantir. I believe Palantir was the 30-minute divergence shows on Palantir, but it's not on the MACD fully, I would say, at the same time. There's a little bit of room there. But you did use that monthly as support. That's cool. So still the 2 hour, still paying attention to this bar in 13 minutes. If we start to fade like right now, that would be bad for Palantir. I think if the 2 hour crosses here, you're still like, hey, there's divergence on the MACD. So looking over on something like Palantir, this is all I'm staring at. This might be late to react to, but we tried to give that little zone up here to pay attention to. But the 2 hour chart here, probably a little bit of a late reaction. Overall, if you're a part of Patreon, you know what you're experiencing right now. And if you were in here, right, with the little tiny 30-minute divergence that we showed off using the extended hours, right? We talked about this 2 days ago, I believe. And then it started to happen. That's great, right? We're not magicians. We just look at what's probable with what we're seeing. And hey, it played out this time. Fantastic. A 2 hour curl up was the more probable thing, and it happened. That's great. Say thank you to the charts. But understand, I'm seeing a reversal right here. And if I have more information that tells me, hey, is this a high probability level where people are getting too excited? Well, I can utilize the monthly expected moves and weekly expected moves for that. And I'm just going to tell you right now, you are experiencing one of those times. But is it turned down yet? No. So I don't want to overreact, but I can take profit and leave runners. This is a decision. Pretty much, if the SPY is at its weekly expected move, most likely the stock that you are trading, if you're trading a popular stock, a tech stock, anything like that, most likely it's at a decision-making area as well, right? That's why the SPY, or the Qs, let's do the Qs. That's why the Qs are here at the decision-making area. Palantir is at a decision-making area. You know what else is? Meta. And notice that Meta is in a key level right now, decision-making area. It's all at the same time. That's why this market is nice right now. It's not absolutely doing crazy things in this sector and crazier things over in this sector and crazier things over in this sector, and they're all different at the same time. No, they're all very similar, which is very cool. Time for a reset. Hey, you're in the area where that reset might be pretty quick, right, Yin Yang? Can we look at MSTR? Yeah, we can look at MSTR. I'll look on my other charts first just to see what we need to point out. Nothing going on there. There it is. There it is. Now, this is squeeze-like behavior, just so you're aware. Pulling back with time while the MACD is just facing straight down and this RSI is getting straight down. You know what that's doing? So pulling back with time. That means that we are overall experiencing a pullback just by moving sideways, which is getting your MACD close to that center line, which is getting your RSI out of those overbought conditions. Now, you can still consider all of this divergence if you want, but understand that if this curls up and this curls up and you see the price action go like this and break through, you can see more upside. And really what you want to be paying attention to is when you see it on the MACD and RSI at the same time, because that makes it very clear for an actual opportunity possibly, right? We're looking for things that are actual opportunities. Do I think this is an opportunity right now? It all depends on perspective. If I zoom out to a daily chart and I say, oh, there's daily divergence, this could curl up a weekly chart, and the weekly chart is in positive territory, then do I care if MSTR is going to, for a week, go down like this, and then it just ends up going up like this? What's my plan for if it goes wrong? All those type of things. So for the time being for MSTR, I'm going to read into this like I'm reading into the market and say pullback is a very likely scenario. As of right now, a 2 hour pullback as we are overbought would be a nice thing. But right now, you're only pulling back with time on the 30-minute, causing that squeeze-like behavior. So something I like to do when looking at MSTR is go look how Bitcoin's doing. Well, Bitcoin, we're going to do this on the other charts because I actually have levels for Bitcoin on the other charts actually. And ooh, we'll come right back over to the SPY. This Bitcoin, very, very interesting because on the 2 hour chart, we were suggesting that if you can hold 91.8K, that would be a great thing. Look at this. Look at those. Fantastic. What do you need to happen here for Bitcoin to see positivity? You need that 2 hour to curl up. What is the problematic thing to watch out for if the 2 hour curls up? If the 2 hour curls up, you want to see a very strong move. Because if that's not the strongest move and you curl back down, you can lose 91.8K again. Why would you lose 91.8K again? Well, potentially because you need a 4 hour pullback at that point. You could see the reversal signal pop up here on the MACD, pop up on the RSI. And are you paying attention? Are you ready to react? Right? Because this will be bad for MSTR. right? This will be bad. And this causes 4-hour pullbacks for Bitcoin. So let's pull up that 4-hour chart. Look how positive it is. Look how it's curled down. Just because it's curled down doesn't mean that 2-hour can't make a move up. So right now, the 4-hour is actually suggesting that this is a very probable situation that could happen here for Bitcoin. All right. What you want to do is burst through and see a very strong move. But if the 4-hour is just going to pull back, we could see this and then curl down, actually pull that 4-hour back, maybe go to about 88.5K and then see if we're able to curl up into positive territory, right? This is just going to be, higher potential to just be a pullback. If it gets worse, you're going to see daily charts cross down for Bitcoin, and it'll get probably pretty decently worse because you're going to be failing triple divergence, right? We see how if the daily curls down and goes negative here and starts to lose all of this in here, we start to lose all this, it can get much worse for Bitcoin because you just completely violated a daily divergence on your MACD. Boom, right here. This is why we were talking about Bitcoin very positively. And triple divergence on your RSI. Now, this is a wonky triple divergence, but it still is. Just take your mouse and go, okay, is this point higher than this point? Yes. Is this point higher than this point? Yes. Okay, awesome. Triple divergence. Right? Some people want them to be perfectly in a line. That's very OCD in my opinion. Triple divergence with wonky looking triple divergence that just holds, it works out pretty damn well, right? Triple divergence is very strong. So let's read into that and say, okay, so if Bitcoin's going to pull back on a 4-hour, what would happen to the SPY? The SPY might pull back as well. So maybe we want to be watching this 15-minute chart. And if it confirms to the downside, that can be a bad thing. And the Qs might even be better to watch because where did they just get to and where did resistance come in for the time being? We need to see if more happens, but they have the actual divergence. Trying to look at the Qs maybe for a sec. 17% for Wolfie Boy. Let's go, Wolfie Boy. Let it do its thing, let it do its thing. Yeah. Some great questions and some good explanations. If you want further explanations, guys, the course is 80% off right now. You can literally learn how we do everything. And if you're very green, it's very good to learn that stuff first, right? If you are someone who's green, I've taken the courses. I found a bunch of information that was just duds and not helpful at all. Maybe it'd be helpful to you in those, but for me, I just put everything that I actually think is very, very helpful for almost any trader to pay attention to. Tell me right now that divergence isn't helpful for any trader. Tell me right now that understanding monthly expected moves, weekly expected moves is bad for any trading style. It's good for any trading style, and that's a good thing. Palantir divergence on the 15-minute, 30-minute possible. Exactly, Sebastian. So, and you're outside of key levels. So you could be squeezing, but if that thing confirms back down, you're more probable to see that thing pull back down. In these areas, we're still looking if we actually make that shoulder, right? This is mainly from the 2-hour perspective. It's going to look the best because this is forming as a wick. So I'm paying attention to these levels and I'm paying attention to this gap fill. If we actually curl down and break through trend, that's a different story in my book, unless this is a fake out and it just whips back up. Okay, I'll be ready to react. But if the 2-hour crosses here, it's going negative. That's not good. That means we're going to maybe violate our higher low, right? The higher low might fail. That's how that all happens, right? In order to take this higher low out and invalidate it, the first thing you would see is the 2-hour cross down. Second thing you might see is breaking of the trend. Third thing you would see is this low getting taken out. So I like to react on the first thing, right? Now, I like to react on the very first thing. What's the very first thing? Well, 15-minute divergence, 30-minute divergence right now. You see it on both. And you see similar things from those other stocks because everything looks very, very similar at this moment. Okay, so I like to react here and then see if that happens. See if that happens. Thank myself if I'm right. Thank myself if I'm right the whole time it's going down, right? Say, hey, my decision making, I made that decision because of the percentages that I'm seeing in front of me, because of the information I have, and boom, to the downside. So all I'm looking for is if the Qs cross down, I'm not going to be holding on to Amazon calls anymore. That's it. I already took profit on Meta. IWM, I scaled out of that to reduce the position size to be very comfortable with it because we're in volatile times. But Meta, great trade, good stuff. Amazon, great trade so far, ready to take profit at any moment when I see something bad. Not going to get to go to 75-cent wing night? That's bullshit. Wait, what day is today? Is today Thursday? So today's Thursday. So what, you doing Buffalo Wild Wings or something? I used to do Buffalo Wild Wings every Tuesday or Thursday with my brothers. My brothers. We used to get a ridiculous amount of wings and sit there and just nom on the spiciest things possible. It was awesome. Exactly, Jeremiah. That's the type of thing you would see for the short squeeze. And that's why we're more so just saying, hey, with something like Palantir, it's squeezed even further than that before, right? So with something like Palantir, we need to understand also, hey, it's not always taking full profit is the best decision for everyone. People have different risk tolerance. We're all different when it comes to money. Read that book, right? Read that book that we've talked about, The Psychology of Money. You'll probably be able to connect a lot of the things you see here with the Psychology of Money book, which is awesome. I read it and I was eating it up every single chapter because I was like, we talk about this stuff on a daily basis. This is awesome. Oh, we talk about that on a daily basis. This is awesome. So Palantir does have that, but maybe the decision there, if a squeeze seems higher potential to you and you want to assume a little bit of risk there, okay, then you would say, maybe I take profit and leave some runners. I don't need to make $1 million off a play. I need to show myself, if I want to be a trader, as someone who respects their money, makes good decisions over time, and then maybe get rich the fast way, which is actually the slow way. The slow way is the fast way, right? Love it. Love it, guys. 10:30 and flirty right now. My goodness, for me, we're sticking on a little bit longer. I will have to hop off. I'll try to give you guys another 15 minutes or so because I think we're doing some good stuff today. Longer term trader, it just depends. I think it depends a lot, Jamie, on how, I don't want to ask how old people are and things like that, but also it's just, how much time do you have and things like that? Because at the moment, if you're telling me that it's a bad time to buy something like RGTI with daily divergence that confirmed, yeah, it confirmed a while back. But if the weekly scale turns up, it's like if you're investing long term, you shouldn't be like watching it every single day, right? You shouldn't be watching it every single day. Now, do I think it's the best time to invest? No, I'm not an investor right now. I'm 80% in cash. I'm only doing options trades with 20% of my money. And 20% of my money is, if you consider that 100% of my options, well, I'm only using about 20 to 30% of that all the time, right? Sometimes only 10% if I only have 3 reasons for a trade, right? I really dictate how much I'm willing to put behind something based on reasons for a trade. And if you want to know here, if this turns down on the 15-minute and we're very likely to get a 30-minute drop, this has 5 reasons. This right here, the 30-minute has 5 reasons for the trade. So that's why I'm treating it very seriously. If I see 5 reasons that go against the trade that I currently have, you bet your ass I'm paying attention to my plan for if it goes wrong, okay? So is it a good time? If you have the reason I ask for age is because if you have a lot of time, then it's proven to be it doesn't matter when you buy. It matters more about when you're accumulating and what stocks you're accumulating, right? That's what it's proven to be over time. That's worked. I think we're at serious risk of seeing way deeper prices, but does that change anything for you? If I'm willing to invest, you would say this. If you want to treat it very simply, you would go, well, was I thinking about investing here and I chose not to? Okay, then. Well, now the price is down here. So what's the difference here? If I wanted to buy a pack of eggs and the price is here, so I say, I'm not going to buy a pack of eggs. I'm not buying eggs. And then eggs go down in price like this. And then I go, okay, I kind of want to buy a pack of eggs. Am I going to sit there and go, oh, the eggs could get cheaper. The eggs could get cheaper. The eggs could get cheaper. Or am I just going to go, right now, I like the price of those eggs, so I am going to buy them. It's better than buying eggs here, right? You can't tell me that buying the SPY was better here than it is here. You can't tell me that. So at least at this point, you got a discount. And guess what? If it goes lower, you get more discounts. And if you have time, that's why I asked about age. If you have time, then you really don't care. You're just like, hey, if this drops down to 326, I'll still just keep buying it. And guess what? The cost average from here to here, if you bought the same amount, is going to be about 400. So, you can take investing with a different perspective. Something that I like to do in volatile times is look for daily divergence, look for weekly divergence, because here you go. Here's the daily divergence that you had. This was a great time to invest because you had daily divergence down here. Boom. A little bit down on the MACD at that point, actually, but flat on the RSI, still there. What was happening at that point? Well, it was just a weekly pullback. Isn't that interesting? It was just a weekly pullback, and then it broke out, and then it went to the upside. While everyone was saying the next big crash is going to happen, and everyone was short, 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 because this is a bear market rally. It broke to the upside and went to the upside with daily divergence on your RSI. And thankful to Apple around these times, right? For me, Apple around those times, I believe, had a great daily divergence. So you can look for things. If you see it in the SPY, go look for what stocks are showing the same thing as the SPY. And usually I go with something, investment side, look for dividends and things like that. Those are always a good thing. But at the end of the day, do what you think is right for you, right? This is just me giving my opinions. So do what you believe is the best decision for you. And if you were thinking about buying at the all-time highs and you happen to not do that, and now you're getting a 20% discount, you can't really be like that disappointed in yourself. I was reading about this in a couple of articles. China says no tariff negotiations underway. Yeah, someone mentioned that this morning, and that's what we were saying. That's what I was mostly pointing out by solid news. You need something solid. VIX is good. Yes, Nazim. Nazim just came in. Welcome back, first of all, Nazim. We love having you here, buddy. Thank you so much for sending me emails. Nazim sends me emails every once in a while. He's always working on some fun stuff for me, and that's awesome. Love you being here, bud. Good to see you back, first of all. I'm glad you're doing well. Nazim decided, hey, this market's too volatile for me. I'm not going to do anything yet. VIX is showing the 30-minute divergence. That's why I have it literally up on my other chart right now. I'm watching it like a hawk because at the same time we have that 30-minute divergence, we see the same thing from the Qs at the same time. Very, very problematic to see things at the same time. We've experienced this a lot. If you've been a part of this channel for a long time, if you see things confirm at the same time, that's proven to be a bad thing. And we mention it all the freaking time, right? So if I see this little 15-minute curl down, it's likely to curl down that 30. If that 30-minute curls down, it says there is some probability pointing towards reversal and trend, which means this 2-hour can cross and all of this can get wiped out. So be aware of it. This is a serious time to be aware. Now, it's also a time, though, to be aware if that is not justified. If the news is just something they're spraying and you see this 30-minute get down to here and then it just curls right back up, it can go either way. That's why we trade like water. We're always, I'm always moving back and forth. 2-hour crosses down but whips back up, I'm moving. 15 minutes shows up and gives me 30 minutes shows me a divergence like it is right now, I'm moving if that confirms. That's it. Comes down to that. I don't think this will be a big dump. We hope not. That would be great to flag out and hold in these areas or just chop, up and down in a little range. On yellows and the other ones. We mainly discuss the 68% zones in the course because you're going to see those a lot more often. To put it in perspective, as far as probabilities go with monthly expected moves, monthly expected moves are going to be the rarest to see a 5% moment. That's why my video back here said you are experiencing history. Right here I said you are experiencing history and you're about to experience more. And boom, we see another 1% daily moment while seeing a 5 to 1% monthly moment. Because we came down to the 95, we experienced a 5% moment. For the SPY, you experienced a less than 5%. You experienced like a 1% moment for the SPY. You don't see it often, so we don't talk about it. But, I think it is good for me to put out something into the course. I think we need to, let's update the course a little bit. If you've already taken the course, you get updates for free. You just have to click back in, sign in, and watch the video. But I think it would be good to go over that, kind of put how we explained it on YouTube on that Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago. If you can find it, I believe it's the time where we said the thumbnail says there's 100% chance for a crash. That was to get people to be aware. Nothing in the market is 100%. That was a bait. I finally clickbaited people because I was sick of people saying Black Monday when the total opposite was being suggested in the probabilities. And that's why I put it out there. So look for that video. It should say like stock market crash 100% chance or something like that. I think that's the video. I'll double check, and we'll join us on Rumble later today, and I'll double check for you, and we'll post that link in the chat. So if you want to join Rumble, we do a live stream at the end of the day as well on Rumble. Links down there in the description. So can we check on GameStop? GameStop, I'm real worried about it still. I mean, this is great to hold here. It's great. We need to see the 30-minute confirm up. The 2-hour has 2-hour divergence. So want to be clear here. Squeezes can happen. You need to see this violated. We need to see the 30-minute and the 2-hour just whip up right now and see something crazy. Or else you're at risk of seeing this. You're at risk of seeing more so what everyone thought here. Everyone out there was telling you that the big moment is now. And we said you have daily divergence here. You have 2-hour divergence suggesting that daily divergence is going to confirm. And then it confirmed. And everyone, you know, all those YouTubers over there, they still said, oh yeah, it's gonna whip back up. This is a sell-off into Friday so that Monday we can see the big move. Yeah, but really the more probable thing still happened. A squeeze is not the more probable thing. You need this to violate to be on, right? Is it violating right now? No. Is it breaking down right now? No, but it is confirmed with a good confirmation. Okay, so that means that the probabilities are this is going to go like that. You might even see a daily MACD turn down here. That's what the probabilities are saying are the most probable. But with GME, if you think that the problem is real, then I'd be watching, because this is what you need to see. You need to see it hold this level. Exactly what you're seeing now is what you need to see, right? You don't want to lose this again and lose these lows. That's a problem. You want the 30-minute to go up here, and you want it to never look back. That's how you make a squeeze happen here. If you don't make a squeeze happen here, you are very likely going to see a pullback on the daily scale. That's how it is. So I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm not someone who's going to lie to you and say this is the moment and get you to, you know, think however I want you to. I'm going to tell you both scenarios and tell you squeeze is lower probability. You have reversal signals here suggesting the squeeze is not going to happen. But if the 30-minute can turn up and you see that strength come in and you violate all those divergences on the 2-hour, that's what you need to see a squeeze. It's very low probability. But you are holding, Patreon members know this is a very key level. And you are doing what? Trying to hold above it. That is great. Hold above it the whole week. See a move on Thursday or Friday. Get that to pop off on Monday, and you got yourself a squeeze. But there are reversal signals here, and I like to make people aware of that. It's very easy when a stock is at a high to say a squeeze is going to happen. It's very hard for someone to give their opinion and say it's actually less likely to happen, because everyone's going to hate you for it, right? They want it to happen, but I give you the truth. How I see it, my opinion, the truth itself. Am I taking my position off of GME? No. Will I take my position off of GME if I see downside from here? Yes, but I am always holding on to the stock. I'm talking about the way I move my options. I don't need to make billions of dollars on GME. Hey, if I can get a quick little 2 or 5x, I'm happy. But options, I like to react with options all the time because time will eat you alive. So I react. Not options? Yeah, don't get right. It's an investment. If I sold every time I saw a sell signal with an investment, am I an investor? No, you're a trader. It's fine. I took off the GME position when we saw that 2-hour divergence and daily divergence. I took that off. I took the shares off for a bit after that. Put them right back on. Why? Because we saw reversal signals on the downside. So it's great. Well, the thing is, you're getting all that negative, negative, negative. People are starting to go more towards the put side, and we haven't seen negativity in the charts, but it looks too risky for me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna bet $10,000 to $20,000 to the long side and hold on to that right now. So I don't have a Discord, all right? I don't have a Discord, but I do have a Patreon. I do have a baby girl and stuff, so I'm not the most active on Patreon, but I try to update you guys with a video when things are important. So we might be putting out that update video because this is something I wanted to put out there. So we got about 5 minutes left here on the live stream, and then I'll probably be working on a little Patreon video just discussing these things because not everyone from Patreon shows up to the live video. Volatility turning up. It's kind of flaggy right now on like the super small time frames. Why am I on a 15-minute on it? Damn it. 30-minute. There we go. Still need that 30-minute confirmation. A good hint here would be, and volatility just needs to fail the signal to squeeze. It needs to fail. It needs to not turn up. It needs to turn up and turn right back down. Right? We still have Google earnings and things like that. Earnings can be some solid news. Yeah, Patreon, $7, man. It's the perfect time to join too, buddy. It really is, because you'll get monthly expected moves. We always do a monthly update video where we talk about those monthly moves. If we're going to squeeze, how do we use the monthly expected moves? Those are the type of topics that we talk about at the beginning of the month. Hey, if we're going to see a big drop here, where would we pay attention with the monthly expected moves? How would we pay attention to that area, right? We talk about that at the beginning of the month to give us that kind of viewpoint for what could happen throughout the month. It's awesome. I don't know. Patreon is just something that I just started the Patreon and I was like, okay, like the difference is like Discord and things like that. I mean, I've had it. I think if we did a Discord, it would be more so me opening up classes for say like 10 individuals a week. Do a class and say, this week's class will be strictly on MACD and divergences, right? Strictly on MACD and positioning, or the position of the MACD, divergences related to swing trading or divergences, right? I've been thinking about that because people want one-on-one, and I don't think for the amount of people that wanted one-on-one, I just don't think I'd be able to put aside that amount of time. But one class a week would be possible. So that type of thing I would do with Discord, right? I would more so lean towards Discord, but other than that, I think Patreon's perfect for what we do, right? It's perfect for what we do. I do not have a Discord right now, though, just so you're aware, even though people keep asking for it. I'm like, oh, Patreon's where you get info. It's kind of the same thing I would do on Discord. It's just maybe we'd have more areas for you guys to, like, post potential setups that you're seeing, have a little setups portion, do other fun stuff. You think it'll be sometime next week? Well, potential to do it right now. It's just whenever you get the solid good news, right? If you get solid good news at any time, you'll see good things. But we like to say this a lot. Usually you'll see good signals before you get good news. Look at Luke. I love the course updates. Yeah, we always try to figure out what could be even more helpful. How can we advance our learning just a little bit? Nothing that's going to be confuse us from the things we're really paying attention to, but also just, hey, now I have a good handle on this, so I can learn this. Hey, now I know how to dribble a basketball, so now I'm going to learn how to pass. Hey, I know how to pass. Now I need to know when to pass, right? Something a little smaller. Yeah. QQQ looks like it's turning down. Yeah, QQQ. Maybe we should watch this for a second. Put our little skeptical guy, right? The skeptical guy who wants a squeeze to happen, right? He wants a squeeze. He's in at those lower levels, right? He wants a squeeze, but he knows that he has to keep an eye on these bears. Bears. He's got to keep an eye on them, right? Got to keep an eye on them. All right, guys, I do have to hop off for the time being. I wanted to try to stay on a little bit longer to see if we would get confirmation. We're not going to get it, so make sure to make your plan for if the trade goes wrong. Make sure to make your plan for if the trade goes right, but we know one thing is to be said here, and that is that this is a decision-making area where hedges are a decision. Taking opportunity costs and taking 100% profit can be a decision if this is a great trade. If you like the amount of money, right? That's something we mentioned in the course too. It's just Hey, sometimes I just take profit if I like the money. Hey, is that going to up my portfolio? Is that going to up my money, my capital a little bit? Do I like that? Okay, awesome. I'm going to take that profit. Any way I convince myself to take profit, it's not going to be a bad thing, right? The other thing in that scenario would be, potentially leaving runners, right? Taking some profit, but leaving runners. That's the three decisions we like to talk about when we do see a good move to the weekly expected move. But as we are seeing 15-minute divergences form, not confirm, there is risk in this area. So if this 15-minute and the 30-minute crosses down, it is likely that we are going to see some kind of pullback. But also pay attention if that goes wrong, right? Right away, we're paying attention if that whips right back up. All right, guys, I do have to hop off. Patreon members, I'm going to work on a little video for you just to show off for the time being, and I hope to see you guys over there. If you want to join, it's $7, and you'll get monthly expected moves next week for May, which is fantastic. The monthly expected moves have been very, very helpful this month, so it's awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for a great chat today. Thank you for the questions. I mean, shoot, the things that we talked about, I bet people who thought they've been trading for a while, they might have heard something today that was overall helpful for them, and maybe they're going to dig into it a little deeper. I think that's fantastic. So thank you guys for being here. If you would like more live video, we're just spreading ourselves out a little bit to Rumble in case anything ever went wrong with YouTube, which it sometimes does. Sometimes we run into a few hiccups and we have to stream over on Rumble. So if you want to join, links down in the description. We hop on about, an hour before the close to watch Power Hour. So come join us there. Ask more questions. You guys are fantastic. Have a good one. Peace. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Manage risk. Trade like water, right? That's what we're doing here. Let's try to make some good decisions and maybe just make better decisions than yesterday. All right, guys. Peace out. Core stuff's down in the description. Well, everything's down in the description. Verb, the full technical analysis one is the one that I usually say, like, hey, if you want to be a trader, like a trader and trade, or if you want to be an investor, there's multiple options. It can help any strategy, but if you really want an in-depth, like, hey, things to pay attention to that are really important, the full technical analysis course down there, it is 80% off right now. So yeah, you can find it in the description. Bye-bye, Verb. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for the questions. Peace out, guys.